Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Nerdiest podcast. But today it's going to be a little different. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jurassic Parktacular. Da-na-na-na-na. I can't play the music because it's copyrighted.
Oh my gosh, a dinosaur.
Whoa, is that a velociraptor?
Oh my gosh!
Is that a T-Rex?
That is
Whoa!
Jurassic World or Jurassic Park in one sentence. Is that a velociraptor?
Eat the goat.
Oh my gosh.
Little T-Rex. Eat the goat, T-Rex. Do it. You won't.
You won't.
Gang.
Do it. Gang, here we are. I want you to put like some really epic copyright-free music under this so it feels cool. So, gang,
No, it'll
here
be
we
the
are
same
in
music.
the wake of 2022, where we now have six Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movies. How many is that?
Wait.
More than
Wait.
Share.
The wake of 2022?
Yeah.
2022 is not over.
This is the part where
you would say the wake of 2022. You'd be like the wake of 2021.
This is the part where we realize I don't know what wake means.
Usually it means like the waves that come off of a boat.
Oh.
So like when you go in a no wake zone.
Here we are.
Like,
okay, sorry. Let me go again. Here we are.
Go again. Back to one.
In the middle of 2022. And we now have six Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movies. And we are here to cover all of them in one
Every
episode.
single one.
Every single one of them. Jurassic Park 1, The Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Dominion, which came out as time of recording and time of release like 2 days ago. So, go see it.
This is like the first time we're hot on a movie review in
we're
a while.
Gonna be doing full spoilers for all these movies. So, if you haven't seen the new one, pause right before we get to the new one, but you can listen all the way up. There's going to be timestamps for when we get to Jurassic World versus Jurassic Park. This is going to be an amazing episode, so stick around.
It's gonna be a long one.
Gonna be a long one. Hey.
And to quote my man Samuel L. Jackson from Jurassic Park 1, hold on to your butts, because this is going to be a long one.
Hold on to your butts.
But
so, before we get into that.
we do that, we're going to go over our weekly recap, and
Real quick.
then we'll jump into it. As Jackson said, there will be timestamps in the description for when we start talking about Jurassic Park, and then when we start talking about Jurassic World as trilogies, not like individual movies. Just because I know like some people might not want to listen to Jurassic Park, or they might only want to listen to Jurassic Park and not Jurassic World because they haven't seen the new movie yet or whatever. And it'll just make it a little easier since this is a longer episode than normal because we're trying to fit talking about 6 movies in one episode. This is also the first episode of a new miniseries. We're really just kicking off miniseries here on the podcast called Revisiting Insert Franchise in Insert Year. So if I didn't come up I was sitting in the movie theater watching the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion like 2 months ago, and it just hit me. The Jurassic Parktacular.
Yes.
And it just hit me, and I had to convince Jackson to change the title of this episode from Revisiting Jurassic Park in 2022 to The Jurassic Parktacular.
Yes, sir.
So, assuming we don't come up with even better titles in the future, the next Revisiting episode will be like Revisiting, I think, the plan is to be Pirates of the Caribbean next. But that could change depending on what movies we want to watch.
Yeah.
So, like, the next one would be Revisiting Pirates of the Caribbean in 2022. So I'm very excited to kick this off because I like watching older movies.
It's going to be a dope series. I think...
first...
So, I just want to say, I think it's really interesting. There's a lot of movie series that we forget about. I think about movies that aren't always connected to big studios. So, like, I want to do movies like, Jurassic World and Jurassic Park and like Pirates of the Caribbean, but I also want to do movies that are not necessarily like Disney connected or like Warner Brothers solely connected. So I want to do like John Wick. I want to do the Ocean's 11 movies. No one talks about those. I want to but I still want to do more things like Toy Story. So like keep an eye out for this series because I think it's going to have like some really great entries.
And Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones are like the next two that I want to do. We might save Indiana Jones till next year just because they have like the new Indiana Jones movie coming out. Might end up with something similar to this.
Based on some of the sequels and reboots coming out, look out for a Hunger Games special.
Oh yeah,
we'll see. I don't want to make too many promises.
That's another one that would be next year, because that new Hunger Games movie doesn't come out till like November 2023.
Before we get to weekly recap, Fit Check, hello. If you're watching watching the video on Spotify or YouTube, I just wanted to point out that we look amazing, and we look
fly.
You cannot tell me anything, and I just have to. So
Ayo.
I just had to
dab
and
you know
on
how many
haters.
people just clicked off with that because the dab is so like old and outdated.
Also, as someone who loves visual bits, I really shouldn't have made a podcast.
No, you make a fabulous point.
Yeah.
On that note, how has your week been? Because my week's been really hectic, but I'll let you go first.
It's been busy. I think a lot of people that I know have been out of town. We're getting to that point of the year where it's starting to be like vacation season, and sorry, he like got up to change like a fan or something, and your little like scoot back really distracted me.
I had to pretend I was 7 and pretending I was a dinosaur. Like, it goes with the episode.
Little scooty scoot. But I think it's been a good week. I'm trying to remember. I did one of my good friends, Mr. Austin. Shout out to Austin. He's probably not going to listen to this, but he was just moving away, so there was a lot of fun stuff this week where we got to like do some cool stuff with him and say goodbye to him. He's a really cool dude, and we'll be releasing some music soon. If you follow my personal Instagram, I'm doing a ton of videos for him. So shout out to Austin and the Idol Factory, and we'll be doing some work there. So like we got to do like. I went over to his apartment and we watched like Gravity Falls for like 2 hours, which, dude, Gravity Falls is so good. I forgot how amazing Gravity Falls is, and it made me want to finish the series.
It's not like I've been trying to get you to watch Gravity Falls for the
I've seen the first season. I've seen the first season.
And your point is there's still a whole nother season.
Yeah, I need to watch the other season. And then we got to watch Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds, because that was recommended to us that day. And we were like, let's watch a movie. And I saw Just Friends was on HBO Max. I was like, that was recommended to me literally today. So I'm going to watch it without realizing that it was a kind of inappropriate Christmas movie. So that was kind of fun. That was hilarious. It was one of those things that's like, this is a really good story, but also this is kind of weird. So I recommend that movie. Other than that, we just split an HBO Max account, so I've been watching stuff.
Oh, I was
watching stuff on HBO Max.
I finally got him to split the HBO Max account. Let's go.
Yeah. So I've been watching.
It's $16. Do I look like I have $16 to spend a month? No. Come on.
So I've mainly just been watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? But hey, if you have show recommendations on HBO Max, hit me up. I'm always looking for good things to watch. So
here's the thing though, like I really am just like leasing out all of my subscription services, because like we're sharing an HBO Max account and Colin and I are sharing a Crunchyroll account. So like I get both of these services and I only have to pay for half of them. I'm really hoping Scott takes to HBO Max, because then it goes to $5 for each of us instead of $7.
Yeah.
Which makes it even more worth it. But brief side tangent. You mentioned slightly inappropriate Christmas movie. It reminded me of the Netflix film. I don't know if I think it's just Holiday. I remember telling you I watched this like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you did.
To all of our younger listeners, not appropriate whatsoever. It is an R-rated.
Don't watch Holiday.
Definitely earns its R-rated movie.
The Nerdiest podcast and Nerdiest Incorporated does not condone the Holiday.
Nerdiest Media Inc. does not condone this movie in any sense of the word. But the whole premise of the movie is to PG-ify the meaning or the movie. The whole premise of the movie is like these two single people don't like being single on the holidays, so they become friends and dates for each of these holidays, so they don't have to go to like a 4th of July party or a Christmas party or Thanksgiving or whatever by themselves. And of course, eventually, they fall in love, and it's this whole thing, right? Of course. So I bring this up because in my film class, like, I think it was last month, they were showing us old student films.
Yes.
Like, from, like, the class that we were in, they were like, here's a film that students before you made. And the premise of one of those films was friends who became friends solely for the purpose of hanging out together and not being alone on holidays. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is a very, like, this feels like the Netflix movie. Like, this is the Netflix holiday. Like, wow, one of the students just ripped it off. Because even down to, like, these two characters had an incident that happened on Halloween, which then resulted in them spending Thanksgiving apart but reuniting for Christmas, which is exactly what happened in the movie and in this short film. So I was like, this feels really, like, reminiscent. Like, wow. So I raised my hand after and I was like, hey, this feels like insert Netflix film. And the professor went, no, they wrote this film first. It came out in, like, 2015 is when they filmed this short film. And the Netflix one came out in 2020. And the student was working on, like, adapting that 10-minute short film into a feature-length movie. And he texted the professor and was very upset when he found out that Netflix had already, like, essentially stolen but not stolen his script. Which means either it was a really, like, basic idea, which it kind of is if you think about it. Or, which I'm going to choose that this is what happened, he uploaded that film to YouTube or something. It blew up enough for someone at Netflix to see it and be like, hey, let's keep this one in our back pocket just in case we need a story idea. Because how could he sue them? He didn't like copyright the story or anything. So there's no case there. It's just one of those things that, like, you'd be really frustrated about. So that's my mini tangent about that.
Good mini tangent. How
about
your
week? Now,
week?
my week? Oh, Lord. It has been so backwards. Like, I've been in class 4 days out of the week. Like, they're really boring. It's just editing labs, which is kind of boring because we're just sitting there editing. And it's editing an Avid media composer, which is something that I'm not very familiar with. I'm definitely a Premiere junkie myself because that's what I edit the podcast in. That's what I do all my personal editing in. I love Premiere. And learning Avid is definitely an uphill battle. So having to do that in class is difficult and it's kind of boring. And then outside of that, there's, like, work for the podcast. Like, I was editing a bunch of reels this week because it was the Demon Slayer episode that I chose to edit all the reels for because I know how to spell characters' names and pronounce them. All right. But outside of that, it's just been honestly playing a lot of Fortnite. That's been my go-to right now because it's so much easier. And I feel bad because I bought Lego Star Wars a long time ago. Yeah, whenever it came out, I bought it and I still have not gotten into the original trilogy yet. Like, I finished episode 3 and I've not gone back to it in a solid, like, 2 months because I just don't have the time. But when I do have time to game, like, my school friends are like, hey, do you want to hop on Fortnite for a couple hours? And it's just infinitely easier for me to jump on and play Fortnite with them for 2 hours than it is to be like, all right, gonna sit down and just play some Lego Star Wars. Like, and then you have to get into it and it's this whole thing. And, like, and I don't know, I've just been having a lot more fun with Fortnite.
I think there's a
really
aspect of love what you love, and if you love Fortnite, then, like, it's a fun game. I can't blame you. I've been doing some of that too. We played a little bit together. What's interesting about Lego Star Wars is it wasn't until right now that I remembered that game existed, and I feel like Lego Star Wars, like, I feel like I can't just sit down and play Lego Star Wars. I feel like it has to be, like, an ordeal. And I don't know why. I can't pinpoint this exact feeling. But you're right. It's hard to just start playing. I feel like I have to finish a level or two. And, like, maybe that gets better if you finish the story. But, like, I'm not super motivated to play it, which sucks because I spent money on it. But I used a gift card, so it wasn't a huge deal.
I did trade-ins.
Yesterday,
I would be more motivated to play it if I did pay for it.
Yesterday we played Smash, and I'm just gonna say, I popped off. All right, as someone who is not good at Super Smash Bros, I popped off. I won like 5 games, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I usually win like 1 when we play. I'm really bad. But like, hey.
I just want to point out the reason you won so many is because I was like half asleep.
Yeah. Okay.
For all of those matches. If I wasn't half asleep, I would have won.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Oink.
Oink. Sounds like you just suck.
You're not wrong. But I'm better than you 90% of the time.
Yes, that is true.
Something
Also,
I want to bring up before.
Go for it.
Or no, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if I should keep the hat on for the whole thing, as I feel
That's
like
a personal call.
okay, it's a good hat.
If you want to keep the hat on, keep the hat on.
I feel like it's just gonna distract me.
I mean, if you keep playing with the strings, then yeah. But one thing I want to bring up before we jump into the Jurassic Parktacular here, like officially, is something I've been dealing with recently. Which this is gonna sound like, oh no, what?
Are you dying?
Mental health? Is he sick? No. Well, I am sick of American cinema, because I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the movies recently that I've been seeing have not been wowing me, especially this year's movies. Like, I'm gonna pull up my Letterboxd list real quick, just of movies that I've watched this year, and rattle them off, and like none of them stood out to me, which is gonna sound really dumb, but the only one that stood out to me this year was Sonic. That's it.
Interesting.
Now, my top 5 movies thus far this year is Sonic, Belle, the anime movie, The Inside Outtakes, Death on the Nile, and The Batman. Those are the only 5 movies. That is my top 5 movies so far. And let me tell you, The Batman was good, and Death on the Nile was slightly better than The Batman, at least to me.
No, it was not.
And then Sonic,
Sonic,
Belle, and The Inside Outtakes are 3 movies that genuinely blew me away this year. Obviously, The Inside Outtakes is more of a special than a movie. But like Belle was a fresh retelling of Beauty and the Beast in an anime modern day setting.
Yeah.
Blew me away. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, best video game movie I've ever seen. And obviously I had a lot of hype going into that, so that's what contributed to that as well.
So I want to say 2 things.
But then like...
I want to say 2 things. One, there is not a universe where Death on the Nile is better than the Batman. I'm sorry, but like I'm not even like a huge Batman fan, and I just think Death of the Nile did not hit like other people say it does. Second thing, I had to defend Sonic 2's honor this week because I was like over at a friend's house talking about movies, and I brought up you, and I was like, oh, I know someone whose like favorite movie of the year was Sonic 2. And someone else was like, I saw it. It was kind of trash. And I was here like, okay, so it's Sonic 2. I understand. But also, it's a good movie. Like, don't hate it because it's Sonic.
A bad movie.
Don't hate it because it's Sonic. But, like, all right.
It was a genuinely good movie.
They were like, it was worse than the first one. And I'm like... The first one's
in
good
what
too.
Universe?
Come on.
In what universe is that? That is not true. In like the bajillion multiverses, that is not true.
No.
But to continue my point, like I'm looking at the movies I've seen this year, like Doctor Strange, kind of mediocre. The Atom Project, it was good, I guess. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent didn't really do much for me. Chip and Dale did not it was good, but didn't do much for me. Jurassic World, which we'll get to later, but also, surprisingly enough, did not wow me. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw I gave it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd. Like, a lot of movies this year have not really been... And, you know, obviously a movie is not meant to wow you, but when I say wow me, I mean, like, Sonic had genuinely good writing. Belle had genuinely good writing. The Inside Outtakes was really just an Inside 2, which was my number 2 movie last year. So it would make sense if that, you know, retained another high spot because it's just more of what was good last year. And it just feels like American cinema specifically, and I'll get to why I think it's American cinema in a minute, but just American cinema in general has really not been doing it for me. It feels like everything now is either Star Wars or Marvel or some big IP like Top Gun or Jurassic World, or, you know, Thor's about to come out. Lightyear comes out in a week, or I guess this week. and it's like there's just nothing original or fresh, and I almost feel like I'm gonna get burned because I'm going to see Lightyear on Friday, and I'm genuinely like excited and hyped, and I want it to be good, but I'm really concerned that I'm gonna get there and it's just not gonna deliver. And that's not even me putting unrealistic expectations on it. I'm like, I just want it to be good. I just want it to be a good movie. I'm not saying, oh, I need to see Buzz Lightyear and Zurg have their epic fight like they did in Toy Story 2 in the video game.
Hype responsibly.
Exactly.
Stickers in the description. Hype responsibly. Thank you.
Wow, you really had to interrupt me for an ad plug.
Ad plug? The grind never stops. Okay.
No, it doesn't. But I don't know. I just feel like...
Why specifically America?
Because I really want... Like, I've been really moved by Japanese, specifically, like, anime movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like... And I watched it's a Netflix anime movie called Bubble, which is... Similarly to Belle, it is a modern anime retelling of The Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not as connected to that story as Belle was. Like, it follows more of the original Grimm's fairy tale story than it does, you know, like the Disney one. But even that movie, for as plot flawed as it was still a visually gorgeous movie.
Yeah.
Like, they did a lot of great things with the colors and with the camera movement and just the action of what they were doing, because the movie is centered around parkour. So there's a lot of action in that movie.
Parkour?
No.
That's awesome.
It sounds dumb. No, it's the one I showed you the trailer of when you were here.
Oh, yeah. I just didn't expect parkour.
I finally watched it.
Because you're like, The Little Mermaid. Like, parkour also.
I know. The plot is not the best. But, like, I also rewatched Your Name with my friends a couple weeks ago, and that was another one that, like, I didn't realize how good it was until I watched it again. Like, I had seen it, and I was like, oh, it's a good movie. But it feels like Japanese anime movies, specifically for me, I know it's not for everyone, but specifically for me, it's doing something for me that American films are not. Anime films are not afraid to go out there, whereas every American film has the stereotypical plot of, oh, well, we can't do XYZ because that's bad. So that's my tirade. Yeah. I think I'm also just burnt out from movies in general, and maybe this has more to do with, like, I just watched 6 movies in 1 week.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. So maybe taking a break from movies, well, 7 actually, because I watched another one yesterday. But taking a break after this might be good. But I also think if that doesn't change, I'll probably take a break from the movie theaters after Thor comes out. Because, like, I want to see Lightyear, I want to see that Elvis biopic movie, and then Thor. And then I think after that, I'll probably take a break from the movies a little bit. Yeah. Maybe take July off.
I'm gonna see Maverick soon.
I've heard it's good.
But I've heard it's good. But I understand what you're saying, and looking at my 22 movie ranking, I realized I've seen 11 new movies this year, which really doesn't feel like a lot. I feel like it's like mid-June and only 11 new movies that came out I actually cared to go see. And the last time I was wowed in the theater was Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And the problem was weird is I was pretty much the only one that was wowed by that movie. A lot of people said that, like, it was decent, but I just think, like, when comedies, not just comedies, when good comedies go to theaters, that's a big deal to me. And so I feel like we've just, and I think the biggest, I'm going to make a bold statement, and I'm going to say the biggest problem that this is caused by is money.
No, it's true.
You cannot take a risk on a movie anymore. You can't, where back in the day, that's why we don't have B-tier, like, comedies anymore. Not a lot of them, at least. Because you can't make a movie that's cheap anymore because no one wants it. And I think that's why
Right.
a lot of people go to those A24 movies now, is because they're so weird and they're so different. And you can make fun of them. Like, I make fun of them all the time. I realize that. But they're different, and that's why they're successful. And so, like, I think this is a bigger problem than just everything's a remake. It's like, do people still care enough about movies to go make a good movie that isn't connected to the MCU or isn't under Disney?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is yes, but we're not giving them a microphone. So
I'm going to make a bold statement here. As a film student who is looking at the current like creative climate of the world right now, I think the American film industry is a train moving towards a blown out bridge.
Yeah.
And it has no sign of slowing down. Because when I say I'm like burnt out on movies, that also includes shows.
Yeah. You're
like,
burnt out on media.
Like Kenobi, which we're going to talk about with Genre Geeks once it
wraps.
fully wraps. Kenobi's not really been doing it for me. Outside of a couple scenes in every episode, it's not, like, overall, it's not been doing it for me. And I think part of what you're saying is it's the money thing. Everything has to make money. If it doesn't, make money, then it was bad.
Yeah.
So they don't put the time into making it be a good, like, Jurassic World is going to make money.
Yeah.
It's going to make money. And that's the problem, is if it makes good money, Universal will pump out a fourth Jurassic World movie, even though they should have stopped after Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Because when it makes money, it's the same thing with Transformers and Fast and the Furious and like all of these long-running franchises, is if it makes money, they're gonna churn out another one. And that is kind of why I like Japanese films so much, is because they just do whatever they want. They don't need to make an impressively large budget, because the Japanese audience is completely different than the American audience. They will go see whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, they enjoy the Marvel stuff that, is made over here and gets sent overseas. But they also watch a lot more, they watch a lot more anime movies than we do, because that's just part of their culture, at least as far as I'm aware. So they're more used to that, like, out there. Like, think about all the Studio Ghibli movies. Every single one of those is so different and colorful and, like, varied, and the story is out there. So I think, bold prediction, next 5 to 10 years, the film industry is going to just tank.
Interesting.
Because people are going to start getting tired of the remake and reboot and, cliche plot. And maybe some people won't pick up on it. But, like...
And we're
there is a decline.
We're getting
not
there.
Only in the quality of movies that are made, but in how the landscape of film is. And I think if this hits the way I think it will be the death of movie theaters. I think this is the very, like, a la COVID, when everyone's like, oh, the movie theaters are never coming back, and then they did, because we kind of just willed them back into existence.
Yeah, that's facts.
I think the film industry is definitely heading towards a crash, and it'll take the theaters with it, and it'll be streaming only.
Which you also have to take this with a grain of salt and say, well, there's good movies everywhere. Like, somewhere,
right. I'm not saying there's
not
good movies.
Somewhere there's a good movie, whether it was made this year or, like, there's enough movies out in the stratosphere that you can find a good one. Not to say that there's no good movies made this year, not to say that there will never be a good movie made again. I'm just saying, because of money, these studios can make a crap film and make $1 billion because of its connections. And, like, that
look at Multiverse of Madness. Pulled in $900 million, and it is by far not one of the best MCU movies they've churned out.
So I'd love to.
So what does that say?
I'd love to revisit this someday, but we're
30 minutes in. We haven't talked about Jurassic Park
yet.
yet.
The Jurassic Parktacular. All right.
Let's talk about some old movies that are actually good. Just kidding. We're only talking about.
So we're
gonna go in chronological order.
I want to preface this by saying I'm fascinated by the Jurassic movies because they made one incredible movie. They made
and then
one
5
incredible-
mediocre ones,
and then 5 pretty bad ones. Now we're gonna go a lot deeper than just that, but I'm just fascinated by the fact that they kept trying. No other studio or franchise, no other franchise I can think of is 1 for 6. They are legitimately 1 for 6.
Okay. The only other franchise I can think of
Don't say Transformers.
would be Transformers. Because an argument could be made that they're 1 for 6, depending on who you ask.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're 3 for 6. Transformers 1 and 2 were pretty good. Actually, no, that's a lie. They're 2 for 6. Transformers 2 was bad. It's a bad movie. It was a cool action movie, but it is a bad movie.
So I say 1 for 6 for Jurassic, solely based on like online reviews. In my personal opinion, I think they're 3 for 6. Is that a hot take? Maybe. Will we find out?
Maybe a little bit. I think they're 2 for 6.
Will we like find out later? Check us.
Yeah.
NBC
by the time
tonight
we get
at
to the
7.
end of the episode,
The Nerdiest
We'll find
podcast on
out.
NBC. Tune in.
let's go. We finally got a partnership.
Let's go. So, hey guys, we can't actually talk bad about movies ever again because the studio said
So
no.
every single Jurassic Park movie is a
10 out of 10.
gift from Steven
10
Spielberg.
out of 10. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. 5 stars. I'm just kidding. So
Remember when we were talking
Here's
about
what I'll
money?
say.
We sold out.
I'm going to start Jurassic Park by saying as a filmmaker, I respect what that movie did.
Yeah.
I respect what that movie did. How do I want to phrase this? It had a very similar effect on the film industry that like Star Wars did, the way George Lucas introduced a ton of new technology. And obviously George Lucas and Steven Spielberg worked very closely on, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, like all those movies.
Pioneers, if you will.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Steven Spielberg pioneered CGI technology with Jurassic Park because he wanted to put dinosaurs on screen. That's something that had never really been done before outside of the stop motion or claymation or puppeteering or whatever. But in wanting to make CGI, they also made a giant freaking T-Rex head to attack a car.
Yes!
And they operated it to destroy a car. And that's really cool.
Yeah, that's dope.
That they had like enough gumption to actually go through and do that. And like I watched a behind the scenes video somewhere, and every 60 seconds, because they were working in the rain, they had to shut down and stop filming because they would have to reset the T-Rex head.
No.
Because the water would get in and mess up the electronics, so they had to go in, fix it, shoot for another 60 seconds, and then go back and reset it. And it was a process. It was a tedious process. But it turned out really good. And I don't know. I really respect that. I think Jurassic Park is a genuinely good movie. It has a good premise of what if we brought dinosaurs back and tried to put them in a park? What if everything went wrong? It's a very simple plot that works really well.
So
And I don't want to say I see no issues with the original Jurassic Park, but we'll get to cons.
Yeah, we're gonna do
It is a
pros
pretty
and cons.
solid movie. It's a
So
pretty solid movie.
I think there's no question that Jurassic Park is a good movie. I don't need to tell you that it's a good movie. What I started to think about is what are movies that I consider close to perfect. There's very few movies that I will watch and say 5 stars. And then a week later or a month later or a year later still say, yeah, 5 stars. Jurassic Park is a movie that I have seen 2 or 3 times now. And every time I watch it, I say 5 stars. And is it perfect by any means? No, because there's no such thing as a perfect movie. But this is maybe the closest thing I've seen to a perfect movie. Just because of it's executed at such a high quality that it's timeless. They spared no expense. So I just want to point out, like, this is the storytelling in this movie is incredible. The way that they introduce Dr. Grant and they're like, oh, he's this paleontologist, and they introduce Laura Dern's character. They're like, they kind of have a thing. They have a complicated relationship, but he's really bad with kids. And they, like, the irony in that is, like, they hammer in he's bad with kids and then give him the responsibility of the kids' lives. Like, that's a huge, like, character moment, and he learns through that. And, like, just the character arcs in this movie are just, like, perfect rainbow clip art. Like, this, it's so good. And then the casting is incredible because you have, like, just defining roles. Jeff Goldblum is peak Jeff Goldblum in this movie.
He really is.
Samuel L. Jackson is in this movie. Did you know that?
Okay, I was watching it with my mom, and he came on screen, and I was like, that's not Samuel L. Jackson. That's someone else. She was like, no, that's Samuel L. Jackson. And I was like, no, it's not.
Young.
It sounds like him, but that's not him. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh,
yeah,
that is Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy.
And then it has the guy from Seinfeld, Newman, and then, like, Laura Dern is an icon. And
you didn't say the magic word.
What did I say?
You said something about Laura Dern.
Oh, I don't know. Laura Dern is an icon.
Being an icon.
Sam Neill is this is the only
dinosaur.
Here's the thing. I've only seen him in Jurassic Park, but he's so
Same.
cool. He's so cool. He does such a good job. This is perfect casting in this movie. And
never forget that Sam Neill is in 3 out of the 6 Jurassic Park movies.
Never forget. I think child actors drive me crazy because I'm like, what are you doing? You're 8 years old. Why are you on this set? The child actors in Jurassic Park are phenomenal. I cannot believe how good they are. What?
That's one of my cons for Jurassic
serious?
Park. We'll get to it, but that's one of my cons.
No,
yeah.
They're great. I don't know what you're talking
actually,
about.
scratch that. Tim is good. The other one, I don't even know her name.
You think the girl is bad?
Is annoying beyond all belief.
Well, that's because
her
she's a little girl.
Overreaction. No. Don't use the she's a little girl argument.
But she is.
Her overreaction to every single thing that happens in this movie and her inability to follow simple directions.
That's a character
or
thing.
have any common sense whatsoever. Which
what does that have to do with the acting, though?
I'm gonna point out my con for the entire Jurassic Park franchise here. The lack of common sense in anyone in any of these movies. Like, let's use the T-Rex attacking the car example.
What if I showed the light?
If a T-Rex is attacking your car, why would you shine a light in its eye?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen when you shine a light in its eye? Or in Jurassic Park 2, what do you think is going to happen when you take a crying T-Rex who is crying for its adult parents back to your van? What do you think is going to happen? Like,
is this like a kid's show where I'm like,
all
what
the
do
way
you think's
through?
gonna happen? They're gonna die. Correct.
I wish they Loki. One of my notes for Jurassic Park 1 is I would let the T-Rex kill the kids in the car. Because they kind of deserve it. Well, actually, no. Sorry. Tim doesn't deserve it. He did everything right. He was just a curious kid. Everything that happened to him was so unjustified. But the sister, nah.
Dude.
She can get eaten by the T-Rex. For all I care. She deserved it.
I hate that.
She deserved it. I'm just saying.
I think
that's all I'm saying.
It's weird because I want to talk about overarching themes of every movie, but I'm also like, stay on the first one. So
yeah, we gotta go one by one here.
So this is so Jurassic Park is so much more, and this is, I think we're gonna get into this, but I think this is a big problem with all of the other movies, literally all of them, is Jurassic Park is so much more than dinosaur eats people. In the same way that The Hunger Games is so much more than people kill each other. Like, if you boil down like The Hunger Games to people in an arena killing each other, you're missing the best part of The Hunger Games, which is, I don't want to say the political discourse is the best part, but there's so much more to it than like the whole story is just so much more than that. Where Jurassic Park, like, it's paced so well, where you're slowly like getting more of these like dinosaurs and so much more of these magnificent creatures that like just the most accurate word I've seen to describe this movie is it's full of wonder, where it's just so magical, full of wonder, where you're like, what's that? Like, it's all coming together, but then it's so sick because it just slowly turns into like your worst nightmare. But dinosaurs are so cool. And it's just like, I think Jurassic Park really did a great job in taking its time to get to that dinosaur chomp chomp moment of like, because if they went right out of the gate like dinosaurs killing people, I don't think this would be as revered of a movie as it is. Because they took their time to set up their characters, set up the plot that makes sense, by the way. The plot makes sense. It's a good plot. It's a great concept. And it's executed magnificently. And I think we're going to be talking about Jurassic Park until the end of time. I solely believe that. It is the definition of a blockbuster.
One thing I want to note about the first Jurassic Park before we move on, because this is the last thing I have to say, is this movie is a lot scarier than I remember it being.
Yeah.
And for all of its flaws, Jurassic Park 2, which I don't know whose idea it was to call it The Lost World Jurassic Park instead of just Jurassic Park 2, because then they went back and called the third one Jurassic Park 3. So I don't know who was in charge of naming conventions, but you should check your heart and maybe reconsider.
Not to check your heart.
For all its flaws, Jurassic Park 2 is another really scary movie. And I think part of what lends to the movie being so scary is that you know that giant T-Rex head was in front of those actors.
Yeah.
And you know those are their genuine reactions to a giant, like, 60-foot T-Rex head being in front of them.
Yep.
And it really sells how scary it is. Which, I mean, Jurassic World is not that scary because they're all CGI dinosaurs, and you know, they're not really there. The actors are miming to what is supposed to be.
They also don't really push the
CGI
scary.
Works.
They're not pushing the scary in the Jurassic World movies as much. Which
these movies,
we're also gonna get into that.
Terrifying.
Screaming, crying.
That's the 90s for you.
That's the 90s, baby. This is a PG-13
I'm satisfied
movie.
to move on. I'm satisfied to move on to Jurassic Park 2.
Trying to think of anything. Yeah, there's not a lot to say because it's perfect.
It's a great movie. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. No. Jurassic Park 2, on the other hand...
Except when you're talking about the poor little girl. You destroyed her.
Listen, I'll die on the hill that she deserved to get eaten.
No!
I'm just saying.
That's
my opinion. Listen.
No!
My opinion. And I was very open with my friends about this. If you're being stupid in a Jurassic Park movie, I will let you die.
They were all being stupid.
No hesitation. No. Because when the T-Rex attacked the car, Alan Grant was like, don't move. And what was the first thing she wanted to do? Move. It's like, okay, this thing's about to bite your face off. Maybe listen to the person who knows a little bit about dinosaurs.
Can we do pro-cons?
The dinosaur man.
Can we do pro-cons?
Pro-cons for Jurassic Park 2. Pro, Jeff Goldblum is in it. That is it. It's the only redeeming quality of that. Actually, no. In a complete 180 of my opinion of the first Jurassic Park movie, the only genuinely smart person in Jurassic Park 2 is Ian Malcolm's daughter. Mm-hmm. Only smart person in the entire movie.
I see nothing but facts.
Even smarter than Jeff Goldblum. Actually, no, sorry. Ian Malcolm and his daughter are the only people with brain cells in Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah.
That is it. Those are the only pros of the movie. That is all.
Yeah.
And dinosaurs eating each other. That's it. That's all I have to say.
I think Jurassic Park 2 is fun to watch as a bad movie. In the same way that I watch... I have a point about this. So I don't know. I think it's fun to watch as a bad movie just because the logic and the physics are so flawed. Just because the way... There's a scene in that movie where they're dangling on a rope in like a van.
Oh.
And the scene is like 15 minutes long. They're like holding on to this rope for what feels like an eternity. And I'm like,
That's
guys,
unrealistic.
there's no way that you would still be alive right now. And it's like pouring rain, and they're like a disaster, and there's like dinosaurs everywhere, which I do like that there's a lot of dinosaurs in Jurassic Park 2. That's a pro. Pro is there's a lot of dinosaurs. Con, it's a stupid movie with a stupid plot that makes no sense. And
that is true.
It's a bad movie, but I also think this is going to sound weird. Pro, people die. Because when characters die and it's justified, it raises the stakes. Granted,
yeah.
I didn't think that any of the main characters were going to die, but honestly,
no, main characters don't die in Jurassic Park movies.
But honestly, like if like Vince Vaughn's photographer character died, I would have been like, whoa, like he could have died too. I will say something that I noticed in watching the original 3 Jurassic Park movies, and unfortunately, this mindset carried over into Jurassic World, but was not fulfilled. Is in all 3 of the Jurassic Park movies, there is a token black character who gets eaten by a dinosaur in every single movie. And it's incredibly sad because from the moment they step on screen, except for Samuel L. Jackson, the moment they step on screen, you're like, he's gonna die. No.
And I feel bad because I get to Jurassic World, right? And there's Chris Pratt's friend with the raptors, and he's like, he's stuck in the log, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna die. And then he didn't die, and I was like, oh, that's right. He didn't have a reason to die, so he didn't have to die.
That's hilarious. And
they did the same in Jurassic World too, and I'm like, oh, thank God, finally fixed this.
Dog, all these movies are the same. This is 6 of the same movie, but only one of them worked.
So the easiest way to describe it is every single Jurassic Park movie is a Honda Civic, but it's like a newer edition of the Honda Civic. It's not a very good car. Like, the first one was cool and good because it was original, and it was the first time we had ever seen a Honda Civic before. But every Honda Civic after that is just like, well, yeah, it's a Honda Civic. What do you expect? Like,
it gets the job
done. Not that
done.
great.
It gets the job
yeah,
done.
it works, but it's the best analogy I've come up with.
Interesting. That's hilarious. I love that so much. I want to talk about
that's a clip right
Jurassic
there.
Park 2. Somebody clip this Twitch chat.
Guys, can we get a Twitch clip?
So I want to talk about Jurassic Park 2 and how there's no story, and it's just dinosaur chomp chomp. And I'm really surprised Steven Spielberg made this movie, because it does not, like, it feels like a Jurassic Park movie, of course, but it is so poorly made that I'm shocked that he signed off on this. Like, this is one of the Jurassic Park movies that didn't take into consideration anything but dinosaurs should eat people, and that's what makes it good. Because that's not what makes it good. That's only an aspect.
Don't forget about the T-Rex. Don't forget about the T-Rex who shoved a bus into a blockbuster.
Yeah.
That was so dated. With seeing the blockbuster, I was like, whoa. Which, what's funny, I had watched an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine the day before, and Andy Samberg made a joke. He got a Blockbuster card, and he was like, what happened to Blockbuster Video? And then the next day I watch it, and the bus goes into
like, that's what happened. Yeah.
It got destroyed.
I just want to say the dumbest moment of Jurassic movies as a whole is in Jurassic Park 2, when Ian Malcolm's daughter is like casually mentioned at the very beginning that she was cut from the gymnastics team, and it's just kind of a side comment, and then later in the movie she jumps up on a bar, does like 3 flips on it, and then just like kicks this T-Rex in the face, and it was so incredibly...
It was a velociraptor.
It was a velociraptor? Alright, that's fine. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't get those
And
movies.
then Jeff Goldblum did his whole like, you were cut from the team, and then they ran away, and it was so incredibly corny that I was just like, guys, I can't do this anymore. Like,
guys, I can't.
guys, I watched this movie in 2 sittings because it was too painful. It's like
I did too. I watched the first half in class,
like, guys,
and then I watched the second half after class. I was like, I can't.
I was like, guys,
This movie is so bad.
guys, I can't do this anymore. So any final thoughts for Jurassic Park 2?
I think Jurassic Park 2, I really like the kid in this one because she has a brain.
Yeah.
Because like when the T-Rex is coming, like when they bring the baby T-Rex into the van, which is an incredibly irresponsible thing to do in the first place, right? Because his girlfriend or whatever is so hypocritical because she goes in and she's like, well, I don't want to interact with the dinosaurs. I don't want to disrupt their natural habitat or whatever. Also makes a splint for a baby T-Rex's broken leg.
Yeah.
That's not okay. But when they bring in the T-Rex, the daughter's like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in here. I want to go somewhere else. Which is
big brain.
the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Because she's using the logic center of her brain and being like, maybe this is not a place I want to be, which is then validated when the T-Rex comes and attacks the freaking van.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, that's crazy.
I also think that the second movie did a better job with the kids than the third one, which I also want to say, why on earth is the most consistent theme in all these movies endangered children?
There's a kid in danger in every single movie.
I'm not a fan of that, guys.
In the first one, it's the grandkids. In the second one, it's the daughter. In the third one, it's the son of the couple. In Jurassic World, it's the nephews. In Jurassic World 2, it's the girl.
It's the girl.
Maisie. And then in Jurassic World Dominion, it's also her. So there's always a kid at the center.
Which makes
I don't know why.
I don't understand. It's weird.
No.
And I think it's just to up the stakes, but I also know that like the kid's gonna survive. You're not gonna kill the kid. But I think the girl in Jurassic Park 2 is a lot better than the boy from Jurassic Park 3 because
That's true.
We're about to transition into 3, but
I mean, I have one more thing to say.
okay, the boy in 3 was like, he's like, oh, I landed in this jungle on this island with dinosaurs. I can survive here for 3 weeks on my own. What?
Correction, it was 8 weeks.
Yeah,
which is even more unrealistic.
Kid just like lives here for 8 weeks and he's fine. No, the girl.
He should have been
The
dead.
girl in Jurassic Park 2 was like, the second she got there and like saw dinosaurs, she was like, no, I want to leave. Like, get me the frick out of here. Which is so much better than the kid, than like Tiny Rambo in Jurassic Park 3. Bull crap.
Yeah.
Not good.
So, one thing I want to say before we transition to Jurassic Park 3 is Ian Malcolm really gets gaslit in Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah.
And everyone just seems to invalidate the fact that he was there on Isla Nublar for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Because like he goes and meets with John Hammond and he's like, "Oh, it's fine. It's fine. The second like it's fine. These dinosaurs are going to kill you." And he's like, "Hello, I was there. I know that they're going to kill me."
I was there.
John, I was there. You know, I saw
you're
it.
telling me I was there. I was
He
on
also,
the island.
this is I wrote down this note. Ian Malcolm is simultaneously the comedic relief and the only voice of reason.
Thank you.
Ever throughout any of these movies.
Yeah.
Because he says we have we have this genetic power, but should we use it? And it's like, no, we shouldn't.
We were so busy trying to figure out if we could that we didn't stop to consider if we should. If we should.
And it's like, no, that's a genuine
that's a genuine
he's the
question.
only voice of reason ever
Yeah.
in any of these movies. And I don't know, Alan Grant is kind of, he's like, oh well, maybe we shouldn't bring dinosaurs back. But I don't know. He just gets really gaslit in this movie by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Even though he's like, maybe we shouldn't go mess with the dinosaurs.
He's like,
and then he's like, well,
hey,
maybe we
guys.
shouldn't bring them to the mainland. That was part of the the good part of it, about it being on an island is at least if they break out, they're not going to wreak havoc across the continental United States.
Yeah, I think it's so dumb. I think, well, here's what I'll say. I really like him as a main character. I think he's a really good main character. I wish this movie was better because it's not great, but I think he works as a main character, and I like that.
Yeah.
Also, Vince Vaughn is in this movie. Why? Like, I figured he had better things to do, but That's
No.
whatever.
No.
Yeah, that's Jurassic Park 2. Not
Jurassic Park 3,
Not
baby.
a good movie. Jurassic Park 3.
I'm gonna ask, do you think Jurassic Park 3 is the worst out of the three?
Yes.
I think it is.
This isn't even
It's also
fun to watch as a bad movie. This is just a bad movie.
I should point out, it's also the shortest of the three.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
No, you're right.
It's like an hour and a half.
So here's what's dumb. This movie feels way too long. Jurassic Park 3 feels like an eternity, which is awful because it's 90 minutes long. And you want to know why it feels that way? Because there's no first act.
Stupid.
There's no first act. It's essentially a prequel, and then we're right onto the island. And then everything takes place on the island. And it feels like it takes an eternity because, like, we're on this island for the whole movie. It's like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So Jurassic Park 2 is 129 minutes. Jurassic Park 3 is 92 minutes. Like, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel for that movie.
And at least something occasionally happened in Jurassic Park 2. Like, this one is just straight up boring. And the first note I made for Jurassic Park 3 is literally just in all caps, hot garbage. So...
Yeah. I need a supercut of that movie cut out every time the wife screams. Or like those YouTube compilations, like every time the wife screams, it speeds up by 0.5%.
Yeah.
I think that would probably shave the movie down to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That was my least favorite part of this movie, is like, in a very similar vein to the granddaughter from the first movie, this wife just screamed at everything.
She dumb.
And it's like, it's one thing if like it's the first time you see a dinosaur, or when she got legitimately jump scared by the body in the, or the corpse in the chair or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. But it's like, every time something happened, she just had to scream at the top of her lungs for no good reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Dog.
why?
The couple
Why?
in this...
Why?
The couple...
Why?
Why? The couple in
I liked
Jurassic...
the husband more than the wife.
The couple in Jurassic Park 3 is insufferable. They are the worst. I hate them.
they are.
I hate them. And honestly, Dr. Grant should not have ever gone back there. And I think it's really out of character for him to go back. And I really hate the way that they just threw money at it and said, well, if they can fund the research, then like he'll go and like risk his life again.
Well,
I'm like,
I mean, here's the thing though.
Uh-huh.
One, that's how they got him in the first movie.
yeah, so it's
They
uncreative,
duped him
unoriginal.
with the money. And, well, also, that would show that he had no character development whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because he would just go back for the money. So I see what you're saying. But two, they kind of duped him, though.
Yeah.
Because they took him into it alluding to that it was just going to be a flyover. And he was like, okay, well, whatever. If it's just a flyover, you want me to point some stuff out because I was there.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, that's fine. So not only, well, no, you're right. The couple in this movie is the worst. Because not only did they dupe him about it just being a flyover, but they took him to an entirely different island.
Yeah.
That was not the one that he went to.
Yeah.
And apparently they didn't know that, because I guess it's not common
Because they're
knowledge
so
that there were two
dumb.
islands.
They're so dumb. I can't.
I don't know why it's not common knowledge that they had two islands, though, because that was the entire premise of the second movie.
I'm saying.
Was making it public that there was a second island where they created all the dinosaurs and then shipped them off to the main island.
And
Which, big brain, honestly.
yeah. Hey, what if we like moved them? What
Yeah,
if
what
we
if we
took
didn't,
Bikini
what if we didn't
Bottom
make them on the
and
main island?
pushed it somewhere else? I think that an interesting point I watched in a video essay on YouTube about this last night is a huge point in the original Jurassic Park was about family and like the connections, like everyone had to band together and be this team to like all survive. And the third one tried to hit on that and be like, this couple, they're divorced, but they could get back together. They have to join forces to save their son. But also, they were introduced in this movie. I have no idea who they are. They are not. They've given like very little about themselves. I know their characters are so thin. I don't care. And
They're thinner than a piece of paper.
thinner
dude.
than
There
a
is
piece
no
of paper.
character.
And I think that the original Jurassic World Jurassic Park was so insistent, was big on that team aspect and like that family, but it wasn't a blood family. It was like a found family. Right. Like everyone had to come together from all these walks of life and like survive. Where when it's an interesting concept to throw in these people that have a history and don't work super well together, but also that's crap. They work great together. Like they're fine. Nothing bad happens. They're fine. Like what's happening? This movie sucks.
Also, another thing, I've never gotten over this since I was a kid. The way the T-Rex is just absolutely done disgusting in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, no. Mm-hmm. The T-Rex is like the T-Rex is the lion of dinosaurs. Like, he is the king of the dinosaurs. Yeah. That's the whole, like, everyone sets that up as the T-Rex. Even though he's not the biggest or the strongest, he is the king of the dinosaurs. The dinosaur. And then the Spinosaurus just cracks his neck. And I'm like, excuse me, no. You don't get to do the T-Rex dirty like that.
No.
Absolutely not. So, I've never let go of that since I was like 8.
Yeah. This is the first time
I still maintain it to this day.
This is the first time I've seen this movie, and I'm just like, I don't do this. The whole divorced couple romance story is so dumb. All the characters are two-dimensional. It feels way too long. It felt
really forced, too.
Yeah.
Like, because they obviously killed off the boyfriend or the stepdad or whatever he is.
Yeah.
So that the parents could get back together. And it just felt like it would have been a lot more convincing if it was like they were just still married looking for their son. Also, I will never accept the excuse that you went to the army or the government or whatever and they didn't look. That's not how missing persons reports work. If you said, my son went missing on an island filled with dinosaurs, I feel like the government would react a little better than they did in this movie. Because apparently all it took was a call from Ellie Sattler to get the freaking Navy on the island looking for Alan Grant.
What is that garbage?
But the Navy can't show up to look for this kid? Really?
Yeah, legit. Like, but it's like,
it's so stupid because if they were just honest with Dr. Grant and been like, yo, you know about these dinosaurs and our son is out there, like, can you send someone to go get him? Why did they feel like that they had to go do it? They didn't. They were not qualified to do that. That's the plot of the movie. No. And also, we haven't even brought up that Dr. Grant brought his idiot college student with him. Like, that was so dumb.
He quote, didn't want to be alone with these people.
Oh my gosh. Which is fair, and that's a hilarious line, but I also think, like, that guy was an idiot. I cannot stand that guy.
I would not have gone.
No, me neither. But
I would not go to a dinosaur-infested island. That's just a terrible idea.
I have a pro about this movie. Believe it or not.
You do?
So, there was a quote in this movie that hit kind of hard for me.
Oh, I think I know exactly what quote you're talking about because I tweeted it on Twitter. So, I think the only good line in this movie that really stood out to me was when they're talking about, I think his name is Billy, who survives, by the way, also stupid, but he should have died.
They're talking about Billy where he's like, the last thing I said to Billy was like, you're just as bad as the rest of them. And he's like, when he wasn't,
we're talking about different quotes.
No, I'm gonna get there. Or he was like, he wasn't as bad as the rest of them. He was just young. And he was the quote that stood out to me. He said, there's a difference between astronomers and astronauts. Because astronomers look at the stars and think about the stars and talk about the stars and study the stars. And an astronaut goes to the moon. And that is the only insightful thing that they say throughout this movie. Because I've been thinking about this a long time about like content creators and how you can talk about doing video or podcasts, or you can talk about doing photography or art, and you can think about it and study it, but really you need to do it. Like, if you want to be a filmmaker, go make a movie. That's the best learning experience you can have. Like, I I learned some things about podcasts from research, but it wasn't until it took us 2 years to figure out how to get under an hour consistently. Like we did that from experience. And so that hit hard for me, because that was a thought I had like been thinking, and I talked to you about this while I was at your house a couple months ago, about like there's two different kinds of people, creative people, and I think like that really just honed that in for me, was there's a difference between astronomers and astronauts. And I think that's great. This is a garbage movie, but that's a great quote. So there you go. Did you put that on Twitter? Is that what it was?
I'm trying to find the quote. Okay, so my favorite quote from Jurassic Park 3. I think it's my favorite quote of the trilogy, honestly, because it's a point that is never really brought up until this movie.
Okay.
The wife, the only competent thing she says throughout the entire movie is, quote, "This is how you make dinosaurs," and Alan Grant responds and says, "No, this is how you play God." Which, that, it's never addressed that way.
Yeah.
But even in the first movie, Ian Malcolm is like, he talks about how dinosaurs are extinct for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If they were meant to be here, they would still be here. It's not some whack coincidence that an asteroid hit the planet and they're all dead. Like, if they were still supposed to be here, they would be here. It's not our right to resurrect this extinct species just so that we can look at them and go, ooh and ah, in a cage. So that line really solidifies that point, because it just nail on the head, or nail in the coffin of, no, this is not science. You are playing God by bringing back animals that are supposed to be dead. And I really appreciated that line. It's the only good line throughout the entire movie.
So there's
aside
two
from
good
the one
lines.
that
So
you
there's
were
two good
talking
lines.
about. There's a handful. There's a couple.
No, there's a couple good lines. Yeah, that's really interesting. That's kind of Jurassic Park in a nutshell. Is like, we played God when we were not supposed to. That's
which is a theme that is further reinforced in Jurassic World.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's, as we transition, I'm gonna say that theory is more modernized, and it's kind of cool. And
it's kind of scary.
It's kind of whoa. We live in a society, so I just
we live in a society.
I think so. Here's my final question. Do you have anything else about Jurassic Park 3?
No, please.
It sucks.
I want to tear apart a whole new generation of movies. I have so much to say about the Jurassic World movies.
Gosh, sorry. Yeah. Don't watch Jurassic World 3 or Jurassic Park. I'm sorry.
The only one that's worth watching is Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That's it.
So here's what I'll say to wrap this up. If Jurassic Park could be real, do you think we would do it?
No. Well,
really?
Here's the thing. We make movies like Jurassic Park and The Terminator and all of these like old movies that predict apocalyptic things, right? And we're like, oh, like in Jurassic Park, we acknowledge maybe we shouldn't make dinosaurs, because what if they broke out and started eating people? That's my biggest gripe with like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, is we don't have like, we have tranquilizers, but we don't have guns to kill dinosaurs. That's the problem, is if you're going to make something that has the potential to wreak havoc, you need to have something equal that can take out that threat. So if dinosaurs become a threat in continental US, we should have guns or something that can go through their skin and kill them.
You need a self-destruct button.
Right. We need something to keep this from being an issue. Is it a little inhumane? Yes. But they're dinosaurs. They're not supposed to be here anyway. That's the problem.
That's the plot of the movie.
But here's what I will say. Is we make these movies like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and The Terminator, and we say we shouldn't do this. But I know we're going to do it anyway. Because we make movies like The Terminator, and we're like, we shouldn't make AI. What if the AI rises up to kill us? And then Elon Musk is like, so AI, everybody, it's going to be self-functioning by 2030. And I'm like, hello? Have you seen The Terminator?
Yeah.
Or they're like, well, Jurassic, there was some headline that was like, Jurassic Park will be real by 2025.
Yeah.
And someone retweeted it and was like, oh, 3 more years to go. And I'm like, or maybe we don't.
Yeah.
Because there's 6 movies about these things breaking
how
out
bad
and
of an
eating
idea
us.
that is.
I think
Yeah, I don't know.
it's
maybe,
fiction. So it's fiction, but it's a cautionary tale. It
It's nowhere
really
near
is.
peak fiction.
But I also think I don't know if we're ever going the same way that I don't think we'll ever be able to truly do time travel, because that would make us God, and we can never
Well,
be
time
God.
travel is technically real.
Are you talking about
time
like
travel
time change?
In a technical sense, is real. Because it can be 7:02 here, and then I can take a flight to Arizona, and by the time I get there, I'll get to live through 7:02 again. So on paper, time travel is real. But the fanatical sci-fi definition of time travel, will not be real.
I think God will never let us be God. Like, that's just not that's not anything. Like, humans are like literally not capable of that. And so I don't think it's something to worry about, but we also have to have these conversations about technology and AI and science, and like, at what point are we advancing and then we're just hurting ourselves? So I think
I do have a point to bring up about that when we talk about Fallen Kingdom,
Mhm.
Because it's just something I noticed while I was watching it.
Fascinating.
That relates to the whole God will not let us be God type thing.
I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
So I also have something like that about Jurassic World Dominion, but I'll get into that.
Okay, we'll get into
when we
that.
get to it.
So, I guess, are we wrapped up on Jurassic Park then?
I think we are. We can put this franchise to bed, just like we should kill all the dinosaurs.
You know what? Jurassic Park, I think it's time for you to go to sleep. You've had a long day, sweetie.
Tranquilizer gun.
I was going more the route of, hey, you need some rest, but you went into the tranquilizer gun route. So, okay, that's fine.
It's always in the neck. It's just...
There are 2 wolves inside you.
Well, I mean, I think all the dinosaurs should be killed. I don't think they should still be here, but...
Okay, no.
If we're going to put them to sleep, we're going to tranquilize them.
Final thought.
Why is it a debate? Should we keep the dinosaurs? Should we kill them?
Yeah, no.
Kill them! What's wrong with you?
I feel like even in 2 and 3, they are like environmentalists to a fault. Like, dog, you're gonna cause our extinction. Dog, get them out of here.
There's a line in Fallen Kingdom where Ian Malcolm is doing his little speech at the end, and he's like, if we're not careful, like, they were here before us, and if we're not careful, they're going to be here after us.
All right, so...
And it's like, nah, dog, he got a point.
No, he's spitting facts, though.
He's spitting facts.
All right, we're going to take a quick
Jeff
break,
Goldblum.
and then we'll be right back to talk about...
Hear the words from our sponsor.
Us.
Do. Hi, thank you for following the Nerdiest podcast. If you love what we do here on the podcast and you want to, see more of our stuff, you can check us out on the social media platforms, Instagram and TikTok at the Nerdiest Podcast. We do great things on the oh geez, I'm totally a professional ad reader. We do great things on the Instagram, like Fan Friday every Friday, where I ask you guys a question, like, to get prepared for this episode we did, what's the best Jurassic Park / World movie? So you guys, if you want to, engage with the content, you can do that. Or if you want to see some videos and clips from the episode, you can check us out on TikTok at the Nerdiest Podcast. I put some great original content there. Like, I did a video this week about how Star Wars might be running into the MCU trap of burnout. I don't know. If you want to see the full video, you can go check us out on TikTok. You can also, I'm going to plug the Spotify description will usually have a question or a poll. I'll probably do a poll for this Jurassic Park episode just to see what's your favorite, or what you think the best one is.
What's the worst one?
Go from there. Yeah, depends on you. What's your favorite dinosaur? Favorite dinosaur?
Do you guys have a favorite dinosaur?
Mine is the Velociraptor.
I'm more of a Stegosaurus kind of guy, but okay.
That's kind of cringe. So yeah, you can engage with us on the social platforms, just like that. It's that simple. You can check the link in the description. You'll have all of the links there. So it's just one tap away.
I'm so sorry.
Jackson died while trying to read his
I'm
part
so
of the
sorry.
ad. You gotta hurry up.
You can also buy our stickers. We officially have podcast merch, the Nerdiest podcast sticker. We have 3 designs. We have the text logo, we have the square logo, and we have the Hype Responsibly stickers. Our amazing sticker partner Hannah is an amazing human being. She makes really good quality stickers right from her home and ships them out. And they're really good quality. We already have some friends buying stickers and tagging us on Instagram, and I can't thank you enough for buying the stickers. It supports the show. All of the funds go right back into the show to make it better. So you can already see quality upgrades. I just kind of changed up my whole setup, and I'm really liking it so far. So go buy stickers. It supports us. It supports the show. Tag us on Instagram at the Nerdiest Podcast when you buy them. Let us know where you're putting them. We want to see them. I think hopefully we can do a giveaway soon, but I'm not going to make any promises. But hey, follow on Instagram and TikTok so you can see when new things are coming out. We always announce episodes in advance. Buy stickers at $3 each. Thank you for listening to this ad read.
Now, back to the show.
Back to the Jurassic Parktacular.
Hold on, we gotta pretend. Okay, back to the Jurassic Parktacular, and now we're gonna pretend like there's a cut here, like we did it. Oh man, dissolve transition. Welcome back to the Jurassic Parktacular.
It wouldn't.
We finally get to trash on.
Trash on some modern cinema.
It's gonna be difficult because my man Chris Pratt is in all 3 of these movies.
I love my man Chris.
And that's the problem, is I want to like them because he's in it, but I simply cannot like them.
I just want to say that
any of them.
It would not be the Jurassic Parktacular without an elaborate wardrobe change. So if you give me a second. Well,
oh, he's flexing the Jurassic Park shirt.
Anyway,
I did not want to spend money on a Jurassic Park shirt, so I didn't.
Let me tilt so you can see. Yeah, gotta flex on him.
Wow,
there we
go.
A
nerd.
Yeah, loser. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, what a loser. Well, you're right. So, Jurassic World as a movie.
That's why I started a podcast.
Hey, if you're a loser, you do things. If you're cool, you do things, those same things, but on a podcast. So,
yeah.
If you do nothing but watch movies, you're lame. But if you have a podcast about it, no, that's not true. But Jurassic World, how do we feel?
It's a movie.
How do we feel?
It's a movie. It's a movie that exists. Don't lie to me. The coolest parts of that movie is everything with Chris Pratt and the Raptors, and then when the T-Rex fights the Indominus Rex in the end. So that's really the only cool parts about the movie.
You know, this is the second half of this episode is going to be a little spicy. Because here's the thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's the thing. I really love these movies. I think Jurassic World.
What?
I think these are good movies.
No.
Hold on. Let me clarify.
Don't mislead the audience.
I'm not going to say that they're great movies, but also I like to watch Pacific Rim. That's not a cinematic masterpiece, but also giant robots. So,
is it bad that I forgot Pacific Rim was a franchise until like 2 seconds ago when you mentioned it?
It's a franchise of 2. All right.
They are 2 for 2, I think.
So, Jurassic World, if you watch it with the view of the same way you watch a movie like Transformers, where it's like, yeah, I know it's a bad idea, where the first Jurassic Park is like, oh, is this a bad idea? Like dinosaurs? And Jurassic World is like, yeah, it's a bad idea. Watch everyone get eaten by dinosaurs.
But we're going to do it anyway.
That's sick,
no.
dude.
Jurassic World is like, is it a bad idea? Oh, absolutely. But we're going to do it anyway.
But we're going to do
consequences,
it anyway.
They don't exist.
Never heard of them. So I think
consequences.
Jurassic World has a kind of weak story. I don't like her nephews in the movie. I think the stakes are kind of low. When it comes to the nephews specifically, I think the nephews don't really show a lot of fear. They're just kind of like, hey, look, a Jeep. Hey, remember when we fixed Granddad's Malibu? Let's fix the Jeep. All right, we're out of here. Let's go. So like I thought that
Didn't you fail your driver's test?
yeah, legit.
Only the driving part.
Only the
They thought they were super slick with that line. They were like, all the writers in the writers room were like, oh my gosh,
Guys, that's gold.
best line of the movie. Guys, that's a banger. We gotta leave that one in there.
This is a consistent thing. Jurassic World does these one-liners that they think are so cool, and they're not. They're
not.
so bad.
They're not.
It's like they're like, oh, they're talking about their new dinosaur, and they're like, oh, when is she gonna be here? They're like, oh, she's already here. And I'm like, what the frick?
Whoa.
There's an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway, where one of their scenes from a hat is like unlikely things to say in a soap opera before a commercial break, and he just goes, "What's for dinner?" And then it's like super dramatic, and that's the only thing I can think of during those lines.
Bum, bum.
So it's painful, but it's really well directed. There are some really sick shots in that movie. There's some beauty.
I'll give you that.
There's some real cinematography in Jurassic World. And while the characters are kind of annoying, they're not great, but I also think, and there's a lot of plot conveniences in Jurassic World. It all just kind of lines up because it needs to. But I also think that if you just want a cool movie that makes you feel like a kid smashing dinosaur toys together, Jurassic World is what you watch. It is one of those just really cool movies where there's enough epic moments to make me go, that's so cool, to keep my attention. And honestly, a take that I heard this week that I wholeheartedly agree with is, if something is bad, let it not be boring. The only thing worse than bad is boring. And Jurassic World is not boring. It's not great if you like dissect it by like characters and story and plot and like all this. But if you just turn off your brain and go, haha, dinosaur eat people, it's hilarious. What a good movie. That's what I'm gonna say. And I have more hot takes about the other movies, but that's my defense for Jurassic World. It's not meant to be a good movie.
So I'm gonna counter basically everything you said. Well, actually, no, just one thing where you said it doesn't, like, the stakes are kind of low. I would argue the stakes are higher because it's difficult because it feels like these people have nowhere to go. Which, first of all, how do you not have some kind of emergency evacuation plan in place?
For a dinosaur
Did you not
park.
see Jurassic Park?
Hello?
Like, what if we needed to get all these people off the island immediately? Are you telling me, like, I don't know. It just seemed really weird that it was like there was a time limit.
There was a panic
on when, like, oh, well, they'll be here in the morning. And it's like,
What?
What? No, that's not how this works.
You created another
So
dinosaur
yeah, it just
theme park?
it felt a little scarier. Not scarier, but like the stakes felt a little higher because all of these people had nowhere to go. They were stuck on this island with all these dinosaurs that were breaking out. Which, by the way, I want to say the inciting incident of this movie where they go inside the cage to make sure the Indominus Rex is still there. I'm just saying, I feel like someone would have noticed if it climbed over the wall and stepped out. That felt really stupid to me, where they were like, all right, let's walk in the cage with this, where this dinosaur was supposed to be. And then Claire, like, leaves and gets on the phone instead of just calling them and being like, hey, guys, is the dinosaur still in the cage? They'll be like, yeah, it's still in the cage. She's like, oh, well, I wonder where it went. That's kind of crazy. And then hanging up the phone. And then they never have to go in the cage. The door never has to get opened, and it never breaks out. And we just learn that it can hide itself from cameras. Which, by the way, another thing, the genetic splicing in this movie, right? Dr. Wu is, like, portrayed as the smartest guy in the room, but he's really not. Like, he's like, oh yeah, we just threw in some cuttlefish and some snake and some lizard and, like, all this stuff. And he makes a comment. He's like, you can't have this, like, genetically modified dinosaur and not have all of, like, these other aspects of it. And I'm like, okay, but why didn't you give us a heads up?
Yeah, I
Like,
think it was
If
kind
it could,
of
if
on
it could
them.
communicate with the raptors, that seems like an important thing to tell us before we send velociraptors to kill it.
I think
Like, that seems like a very important subnote that needed
this
to be
movie
addressed.
has a lot of miscommunication.
And also, there's some, I don't know if it's in the movie, I can't remember, but there's some aspect of the movie, or there was some like rough draft or something, where the Indominus Rex is mixed. It has human genes in it too. Which is also another very important thing that should have been noted. I think the human gene thing came in when they like made a comment that it was killing for sport because humans are the only species that kill for sport. I think that's what that was. I may be speaking
That makes sense.
misinformed about that. But also they were like, yeah, let's make this dinosaur hyper smart.
Yeah. Why though?
At this point,
Why,
everyone
though?
deserved to die. Like, this is one of those situations where it's like, maybe we don't make a dinosaur that's like hyper smart and can hide from sensors and all that and is like super strong. I'm
So,
just saying it might be a good
This
idea.
is the part where I tell you you're overthinking this movie. You're too smart.
I'm
to
not
watch this movie.
overthinking
You
this
are
movie.
overthinking this movie
These are
because
simple
it's-
questions.
It's a dumb movie, and it's supposed to be a dumb movie.
I know it's supposed to be a dumb movie, but what I'm telling you is it's stupid. They were like,
Yeah.
people aren't thrilled by it. They're like, what's Claire's line where she's like, people look at a stegosaurus like they do an elephant in a zoo. So that's why we're making this genetically modified hybrid. And I'm like, okay. But why? Also, Chris Pratt is probably the smartest guy in this film, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, does it have a sibling? And Cody's like, no, it ate the sibling. And he's like, oh. So my favorite line of his in this movie is when he's standing in the control room after it kills like that whole SWAT team or whatever
Yeah.
sent to kill it. And he's like, this thing has never been outside. It is going to kill everything it sees. And you did not use live ammunition on it. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody listens
Which
to
is
him.
so frustrating because
Nobody
he's-
listens to Chris Pratt.
It's so funny because he doesn't continue that in the rest of the movies. He just falls right into the pile
Yes,
of
he
the-
does.
Does he though? I
Yes, he
don't know
does.
if he does. I feel like he just gets
dumber as the movies go on.
He pulls a very Ian Malcolm in the second movie where he tells Claire, he's like, don't go. It's stupid. Let the dinosaurs die. Like, they don't need to be here.
Okay, that's
But then
fair.
he
That's fair.
goes for the sake of protecting Claire.
I retract
not
that
because
statement.
he wanted to be there.
I retract that statement. He is like the Ian Malcolm smart guy of this movie.
Also, he's not afraid to freaking kill a dinosaur. Like
legit.
in the third movie, he's ready to kill. So I think his character is pretty consistent throughout all three movies.
yeah.
It's
that's fair.
Claire's
That's
character that I have to bring into question because she is just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't listen to a lick of anything anyone says unless it's what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you need to get all of those guys out there now. They're going to die because you're not using live ammunition. She's like, no, it's fine. And then they all die. And he's like, well, you should have listened to me.
And now she's
And then
like,
she
I
starts
have to do all
listening
this
to
stuff
him.
because my conscience. And it's like, you're
Right,
dumb
like
enough
she
to
suddenly
put
has
it
a
on your
conscience in
conscience.
the second movie.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, well, I have to save all these dinosaurs because I'm the one who left them there. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
So
I want to go back.
No.
I want to reel it back a little bit to talk about the stakes. I think the stakes of this movie are technically higher because an interesting point that I thought about while watching is in the original Jurassic Park, the park was not open. This was like a test run in the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
The park is
And
like
that's what told them it
the
failed.
Jurassic World is fully operational. And so the stakes should be higher. But I almost like it's almost, let me know if this makes sense or if I'm crazy. I feel like it was scaled up so high that I almost went numb to a lot of the events in this movie. To where it was almost
I don't disagree
it was
with
almost
you.
too big to the point where like something big would happen and I wouldn't care because it was so big.
Here's what I will say. What feels weird is, as I said earlier, like, all of these people are there and they have nowhere to go. And it's a point that they have nowhere to go. But then all of these people just disappear for the third act.
Yeah.
Like, they disappear
Big facts.
so much that the T-Rex and the Indominus Rex and the Velociraptors can all fight in that main area of the park, and no one is affected whatsoever.
Yeah. I have an example.
Also,
I have an example. What? So between the movie The Avengers and the TV show, let's say WandaVision or Loki, which one feels like the stakes are higher? I feel like the stakes of like
I don't think those are fair.
Okay,
comparisons.
move on.
Because
move
of where
on.
the MCU is at.
I'm fine.
What are you trying to get?
I'm
at?
trying to say that
What's the point you're trying to
The Avengers is such a big movie that they can trample New York and I feel nothing. That's my example.
Well, you should have just led with that. Jeez.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
made it too
Should've led.
complicated. I didn't mean to. You know what I mean.
I totally see what you're saying,
Yeah.
because they tore that park apart
Mm-hmm.
and then evacuated all of those people.
But you say like the people do disappear in the third act, but I think that's because they like put them all in like the main center, because you see a couple shots of them there, right?
You do see a couple shots, but it's not ever clearly established, because they go into the main center when they're running away, and then the Velociraptors chase them in there, and then they come back out, and the Raptors are waiting for them, and then the Indominus comes
That's
out.
true. Were they evacuated?
So they're
by
not
then?
in the main center.
Were they evacuated by then?
They're still on the island because they noted that the boat wasn't coming until the morning. Because the InGen guy mentioned like the next boat will be here in the morning, and the news cameras will say your Raptors saved the day or whatever. That was his pitch, right? So the boats weren't coming until the morning.
Huh.
So those people were not evacuated. They were still on the island somewhere.
This is interesting. I never thought about
Because
this.
it's like mid-afternoon when the parents show up to that warehouse hangar thing to pick up their kids.
That's true.
So they got evacuated in the
Fascinating.
morning. At least that's my understanding of the timeline. Could be different.
Okay, so Jurassic World, not a great movie. It's a fun movie,
No.
but it's not a great movie. And this is not even my favorite of the Jurassic World movies.
No, you have a really bad take.
Maybe can I have a bad take once in a while?
No.
Fine.
No. You're not allowed to have a bad take.
You literally have a weekly segment called Hot Take where you make everyone angry.
It's a hot take, not a bad take. There's a difference between having a hot take and a bad take. A bad take is just a bad opinion.
I'm gonna say it. I think Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom is the best Jurassic World movie.
Okay. I'm gonna make an argument with you here.
Yeah, fight me.
It would be the best movie if it actually made sense. Because it's another... Okay, we're just going to go ahead and transition in the second movie. Actually, one note about Jurassic World.
Can we do pro cons?
Actually, no, it's more of a note about the second movie. Never mind. This movie makes no sense. Because for a world that has been set up to be, like you were mentioning, super environmentalist to a fault, they then say that, no, we're going to let the dinosaurs die. Which is fine if they actually stuck to that opinion. Because they didn't. Because, well, I mean, maybe they did. Maybe the government did. Because they weren't going to do anything about it. But then, you know, the Lockwood estate or whatever goes in and they're like, we're going to put him on a safe island, right? Which, again, Claire, being a naive idiot,
Yeah.
was like, oh,
We've been
there's
duped.
no ulterior motive here.
We've been
By the way,
duped.
I hate that Jurassic World 2 and 3 is both, we're going to put the dinosaurs in a safe place, but we have an ulterior motive that's bad. Same as Jurassic Park 2, right? It's the same villain motivation. It's really stupid because it's been done. It's half of the Jurassic Park franchise. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which actually, okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, I will give Jurassic Park 3 credit for being the most original of the 6.
Yeah.
Because Jurassic Park and Jurassic World have the same concept. Jurassic Park 2 and Jurassic World 2 and 3 have the same concept. So I will give 3 credit. I'm not saying it's good. but I will give it a
We will
singular
get to
point
that.
for being the most original of the 6.
That's a good.
Not even
that's
in a good
word.
way.
That's a good word.
But the second movie makes no sense because they're like, okay, we're gonna go get all these dinosaurs off the island, and then there's an ulterior motive, and then they get trapped in the thing, and then they're left there to die, and then it's this whole thing. So it's just kind of a stupid movie. Also,
all right, that's
this movie and hold on. I don't like this movie for the same reason that I don't like Avatar, because the environmentally aspect of it got really preachy, and I don't like it when the movies get really preachy, and that kind of turned me off because that is a big aspect of the movie. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we shouldn't protect the dinosaurs. Actually, yes, I am, because I do think they should all die. That's been my sticking point for this entire
the
podcast.
dinosaurs.
But I should note, God tried to kill these dinosaurs twice.
He didn't even try
in the same movie.
Yeah.
He set off a volcano on the
Two
island,
different
and then when they didn't die there, some gas got leaked that would have killed them all.
They had a way out twice.
There was a way out twice, and the writer said, no,
Well,
we need a third movie.
yeah. I think here's my case for
Fallen Kingdom. I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's my favorite, but it's not a good movie.
It's kind of like the lesser of
It's
three
like
evils.
it's in my opinion, it's the best of, it's the least bad. This is the most enjoyable for me of the 3. That's what I'll say. I think it's paced really well.
I'll give you that.
I think it leans more into that classic Jurassic Park type, like, let's build up to the action instead of just like hammer in instant action, which Jurassic World, like the first one, almost falls accustomed to a little bit, because like in their character introductions it's like kind of action packed, and so I really like that like slow build to the action. And honestly, this movie Fallen Kingdom, I feel like shows a part of their world that I wanted more of in Jurassic World 3, because they showed like those, like the dinosaurs being like auctioned off to rich people, and I think that's like really cool, and I think that's really rad. And like I feel like there wasn't enough of that in the third one. Your face makes me nervous. I feel like you're about to say something stupid. Are you angry?
No, you're hitting on exactly what I want to talk about
Yeah.
with the third movie.
So yeah, this okay. I could not tell if that was a positive or negative reaction.
No, that was definitely a positive.
I feel like Fallen
oh
Kingdom
boy.
leans more into the consequences of dinosaurs in the real world than the third one does, which that's supposed to be the concept of the third one. Anyway,
Come on, Colin Trevorrow.
I
Gosh,
think, good grief, Colin. I think it's the cloning of the granddaughter was kind of weird. I feel like that's when it
it
started.
makes sense with the technology they have, though.
It made sense with the technology, but it was also just kind of a stretch. Like, the dinosaurs made sense. I felt like, but this, I don't know. It made
I don't think so.
It made sense, but it was also like, I felt like this isn't the kind of movie that should do that. Like,
I think
it made
if
sense.
you think about
I don't know.
if
I mixed
you think
emotions.
about the process of how they brought back dinosaurs in the first movie and how it was explained, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're using DNA extract and filling in the segments, right? That is essentially what they did for this girl,
Yeah.
Maisie, right?
Which
Is they took the mom's DNA, filled it in, and did it. So
Yeah.
the technology is there, and at least enough to make sense.
yeah, it makes sense.
And that's kind of the writing
This-
aspect of it.
this-
Is as long as it makes somewhat sense.
like,
it's fine.
it does make sense, and I think how they did it well. But this doesn't feel like the kind of movie that they should do that. I feel like that's more of like a Michael Bay sci-fi, like The Island type vibe. And so that's not the kind of, like, I liked the character. I thought Maisie was cool. And I thought of the kids in Jurassic World as a whole, she's the best one. And she's a good actress. But I thought that may have been a little out of place at times. But I liked her connection, and I thought her character was done well. And I think it's an enjoyable movie with some really good action scenes and is well directed. It started to lean into a little bit more of the end, like the end of Ant-Man, where like she was in like her room and the dinosaurs like come in and like destroy everything, and that mansion is really dope and it's a really cool setting. And I really like all the villains in this one. They were like actually kind of menacing. So I don't know. I think.
Can I say something about the villain?
Yes, sure.
Can I make my comment about the villain that I shared with you earlier?
Yeah.
The villain is the main guy, like the trust fund guy. I don't even remember his name. He is Ben Platt adjacent. Tell me I'm wrong.
He looks like
He is Ben Platt's older brother.
Gosh.
Am I wrong?
Hold on. I'm going to get a picture.
No. You gotta look at both of them. He looks like he could be a Ben Platt sibling. And it really bothered me. Because at first I thought it was Ben Platt. And then I was like, no.
There's no
He
way.
acts too well to be Ben Platt. He can't be Ben Platt. But while Jackson's looking up that image, I will say one thing that really bothered me. Yeah, there's Ben Platt. Right? And that's the other guy. It's just an older version of Ben Platt. That's what I said. Older brother. Exactly.
I see it, dog.
So, one issue I have with this movie is Claire's character is very, I don't want to say inconsistent, but annoying.
Yeah.
Because, they really struggled to define what Claire and Owen's relationship was, which was really frustrating. Because it's like, it's just that very, like, get a room already. Like, this is kind of forced relationship drama for the sake of it being forced relationship drama.
Been there.
So that was kind of stupid. But her character, like, they never really established where the guilt came from. Like, it's implied that because of the events of Jurassic World, that would establish where the guilt came from. But I feel like we needed a more, like, a show, not tell, way of getting that across. Like, maybe she picks up a newspaper headline that has a smear article against her because she's responsible for what happened. Or something about the dinosaurs' well-being that, the humans not being there to maintain the park or whatever. Like, just something a little extra to give the guilt. Because the guilt is something that carries over into the third movie, which should not be a thing.
Yeah.
It should not carry over into the third movie. Because what happened in this movie was her guilt was resolved by letting the dinosaurs out. Even though she's not the one who did it. Maisie is the one who let them go. And that is really frustrating.
I thought that was stupid.
Because we went through Claire's character development that she realized they needed to die and be let go. She needed to let go of the dinosaurs, which is why she closed the lid and left the button. And she went over to Owen and they had their like hug moment or whatever. And that was her character arc. And it was a good, solid character development. We finally got somewhere.
Yeah.
But then Maisie pushes the button.
And she has to revert
and it's like, oh, well, Claire's character development's out the window.
She has to revert back to
she reverts right back to where she was in Jurassic World 3.
Terrible.
She reverts right back to where she was. And it's really frustrating.
Yeah. I think this is an enjoyable movie for me. It has just enough cool moments to keep me engaged. But really the difference between Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, like when I rated them on Letterboxd, it was 3 stars versus 3.5 stars. So it's really like,
it's not much.
I don't think it's an amazing movie, but I really enjoy watching this movie. If I had to choose one of these 3 movies to watch, this is the one I'll pick, just because I think there's the most cool scenes based on the length. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of stupid moments where like her like Claire and the nerd guy like got into that hamster ball thing just so they could, so they like went, and then they went into the water, and then like Chris Pratt's character Owen didn't get in, but he still survived. Like, why the heck did they even get in the ball?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
My last thing before I move into Jurassic World Dominion, the new one,
The newest.
which is gonna be a time. I want to say, again, people are really dumb.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what should we do? Let's make a dinosaur that is smarter and more dangerous than the dinosaur that caused the downfall of Jurassic World. And it's not even like that's not common knowledge. Because the people working on the Indoraptor acknowledge that the Indominus Rex is the reason that Jurassic World fell.
Yeah.
The first act, not the first act, but like the opening of the movie is them going to get Indominus Rex DNA from the bones. So, I don't know who thought this was a good idea. And it seems like the overarching theme of the Jurassic World franchise is control. Because we always think that we can control these things. And the third movie is very much a showing you, no, we cannot control these things to any extent. Because the first one is like, oh, we can control it, it can stay in, and then it breaks down and kills everyone. The second one is, oh, we can control the Indoraptor. You know, it goes by the light and the sound. And then it does the opposite of that. Except for when it does that one time when Claire aims it at Owen and he doesn't die.
Sounds like a Deus Ex Machina to me. Ayo.
Yeah. Ayo, vocab. What I will say, as I'm going to use this to transition into the third movie, unless you have anything else you want to say about this one.
Not really. It is what it is. One thing I will say is a consistent theme in all of the Jurassic World movies that I've noticed is greed. Is where they always want more, and it's always the people that want more that die. So
they get less. I will say, I was genuinely jump scared at the end of at the end of Fallen Kingdom, because when Ben Platt, I'm gonna call him Ben Platt.
Yeah, you have to.
When he gets out from underneath the car after the stampede,
Yes.
The way they framed that, with you see the one, I think it's like a Carnotaurus or something in the background, and you're like, oh, it's gonna run up and eat him, and then the T-Rex just goes sideswipes out of nowhere.
It's so good.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
that's
terrifying. Another thing I like
okay.
about this one is it leans more into that thriller horror type thing that the original Jurassic Park had, which I really, really liked. I also think this one was also really well directed. So this is a gorgeous movie, in my opinion.
Oh no, I lost Jackson.
So is that it for the other two?
Yes.
I think.
Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Okay.
I lost you.
Hey gang, we're back. After some
is the recording still going? Oh, duh.
After some technical difficulties, the studio.
We're back to get into
the studio
Jurassic World spoilers.
Really doesn't want us to talk about Jurassic World Dominion, but we're gonna say
because they know we only have bad things to say about it.
For the fans out there, hey, the studio doesn't want to talk about Dominion. He doesn't want us to talk about Dominion.
They don't want to talk about Bruno.
Hey, if you haven't seen it, come back later. Because you should go see it.
We're going to get into heavy spoilers from the get-go. So this is your last spoiler warning.
So if you don't want it to be spoiled that Owen dies... Oh, man.
Oh my god. Oh, crap. Jackson, no!
That's embarrassing. I didn't mean
Anyone
to say
who hasn't seen... No, come on. You know Chris Pratt's the money character.
He's the poster character. Come on.
He's the poster guy.
Come on.
He's the poster guy of Jurassic World. They can't kill him.
Yeah.
But... what I was going to say before technical difficulties were so rudely interrupted is I think the most meaningful relationship in all three of these movies is the relationship between Owen and Blue. That is like...
Okay.
That is the most meaningful relationship in all three of these movies.
That's kind of facts, though.
They do more development for that relationship than they do with the relationship between Owen and Claire.
Oh.
And they're the ones romantically involved that we're supposed to be invested in.
I hate that that's facts. crap.
Like, they have a really good relationship in the first one, and then in the second Jurassic World, they do a lot to establish, like, Owen raising and training these raptors from birth.
Yeah.
Which is something he talked about in the first movie. Was like, oh, we've had a bond, a connection since they were born.
Yeah.
And they really go into that in the second one. And honestly, it's really well done. That's like one of the best parts.
It's
of the movie.
well done.
It's the only
It's
good
well
part
done.
of that movie. And
Um,
then in this one, obviously Blue has that connection to Owen because she makes her nest really close by to that cabin.
yeah. Okay.
And then when the baby Blue gets kidnapped for no reason,
Baby
by
Blue.
the way,
yeah, I don't
Um,
understand what that was about.
gets kidnapped for no reason. Blue is really like upset about that, arguably so. And like
Yeah.
she bites Owen's hand, which is a first. But I do like that there is still that connection there. And how like he makes a comment, he's like, I'm gonna bring her back.
Mhm.
Like, I'm gonna bring your kid back. And then he does. And it's like a super nice thing because at the end, they like both of the raptors run off and then Blue comes back and it's like that unspoken like goodbye
Yeah.
in that
In a
movie,
sense,
and then
yeah.
Blue runs away, and it's
Yeah.
really nice. That was a nice part of the movie.
That's tender. That's tender.
I don't think I have
agree.
anything else nice to say about this movie.
So let me think. Hold
I
on.
don't.
let me comb through my memory, see if I have anything kind to say about this movie. They say if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, which means that this episode is over.
Yeah, guys, sorry, we're
Yeah,
done.
guys, sorry, we're
We
done.
have nothing else to say about this movie.
So
I
here's-
will say, I really briefly, quickly, I liked I liked what they
Spit it out.
tried to do with the family dynamic
Yes,
between
me too.
the
Me
three
too.
of them.
I like the
I
concept.
thought that was good.
I like
that
the
was a good
concept.
direction. I don't think it was handled very
No.
well,
but it
but
was
I
a
like
good
the
concept.
concept.
Good
And
concept.
I like the
Good concept.
direction of where it went.
So I like that. I like Chris Pratt. He's a good actor. I like Jeff
true.
Goldblum. He's a cool dude.
That's true.
He's a jazz pianist. I bet you didn't know that.
I did not know
You
that.
should watch The World According to Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus. That's a good show.
I forgot about that show. Honestly.
I like that the original cast was there because they're cool.
I didn't. They
Otherwise,
had no purpose to be there.
Otherwise, I like the idea of bringing the original cast in. Otherwise,
I like the idea of what this movie has.
I'm
I don't like the movie.
I'm gonna start the discussion by saying this is a crappy movie. Like,
This is a bad movie.
it's god awful. It's like, so whenever
Yeah.
I leave the theater, there's few times recently that I've left the theater and been like, that was insanely bad. Like when I left Multiverse of Madness, I was like, that was decent. It's usually some kind of middle ground. When I left Death on the Nile, I was like, that was decent. When I left this movie, like the credits rolled, and I leaned over to my friends and I said, so what'd you guys think? And that line was funny. Saying, what do you guys think, was funny because everyone hated it and it was a known thing. This is a laughably bad movie, and I don't know how it got this way.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Here's what I'll say. This movie had so much potential. There's so much to say about, there's so much to talk about in dinosaurs are now in the normal world. They are now loose across the continental United States.
Yes.
Right? And most of them are just acclimating to life. Obviously, the herbivores are, taking a more chill, laid-back approach because they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then the carnivores are obviously out doing whatever. And, there's this big corporation, Biosyn, that's like, oh, we're going to put the dinosaurs on a preserve. And they actually do it. But then, of course, there's an ulterior motive. It's very stupid. We've already gone over that because it's just rehashing the second movie. But what was really frustrating is there was so much setup
Yeah.
from the second movie. And there was so many different places you could go. How do we acclimate with dinosaurs? how do we coexist? Do we coexist? Do we try to put them back on another island and send them back and get them off the US?
Yeah.
Like, where do we go from here? And they chose to do a family kidnapping movie. This is not, by any stretch of the imagination, this is not a Jurassic World movie first. This is the way I see it, Colin Trevorrow, which I know he's probably not the one who wrote the script, but I'm going to give him credit because in the film industry, it doesn't matter the work of anyone else. There's always the director. Everything gets pinned on the director because he approved everything. So he wrote his rough draft of the script, submitted it to the producers and said, here, Jurassic World Dominion. And they're like, where are all the dinosaurs? And he's like, oh, shoot, you're right. I need to put some dinosaurs in it. Okay, here's the second draft. We added some dinosaurs in some places, and they're kind of here. They're on an island now. And then the people go to the island. And it's evil Jeff Bezos is the bad guy.
Honestly, no, it's evil Tim Cook. Honestly, he looks just like Tim Apple. It's like, I could only think that he looks just like Tim Apple. And I can't.
He's like, what?
Ooh.
It's evil. It's Apple, but if they were evil. And had dinosaurs. And also,
Who's to say they aren't evil
I'm
and
sorry.
have dinosaurs?
I'm sorry. Locusts?
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me?
Give me 5 seconds.
What?
Give me 5 seconds to talk about this, because it's garbage.
So,
Why locusts?
so, you know how we have an entire
repertoire of dinosaurs we can use to destroy the world? Nope. We're gonna make locusts. Why?
Sorry.
Literally why? This is the dumbest decision I've ever seen made in a movie. Who
I don't know.
approved this?
No, you make a great point. I think it's stupid. We have dinosaurs in the continental U.S., right? We have carnivores on the loose. We have herbivores on the loose. We have pterosaurs on the loose that can fly and just decimate cars and planes, right? And the main villain of the movie is a swarm of locusts.
who approved
What?
this? Who approved this?
It's just so stupid. And this movie,
I can't.
again,
I can't do this
they
anymore.
really wanted to tell that story of Owen, Claire, and Maisie,
I cannot
right?
do this anymore.
They really wanted to tell that becoming a family adoption type story, which is fine. But this is a Jurassic World movie. It's not a family movie. If you really wanted to sell that family dynamic, Maisie should not have been kidnapped, and she should have been able to go on that trip with Claire and Owen.
Yes.
That is a way
Big
to
facts.
wrap in. Because you could have kept the raptors. So you could have kidnapped both of the raptors instead of just the one. And then it could have been, let's send the whole Grady family on a quest to save Blue, right? It would feel kind of campy like the second movie, because that's kind of what they did in the second movie. But it would reinforce that theme that they were trying to tell, that Maisie had a similar bond to Beta, which is Baby Blue. I need to call her by the right name, otherwise people are going to get angry. But like Maisie and Beta had the same bond as like Owen and Blue did. And if you really wanted to sell that, it could have been like the whole family goes out, And instead of like, oh, our daughter gets kidnapped, right? And of course, it was just...
There's too many problems.
Stupid.
There's too many problems to talk about in this movie.
And then
If you want to
Ellie
watch,
Sattler shows up.
for some reason.
Alan Grant shows up. And Ian Malcolm shows up. Why is Ian Malcolm giving lectures there? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm so frustrated because you managed to get back the entire cast of Jurassic Park, put them in another movie as those characters, and this is what you did.
And
This is the best you could do. A movie where they're infiltrating a lab for
they're infiltrating Amazon headquarters.
genetically modified locusts that escape when they're set on fire for some reason.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay. What did they think was gonna happen when they set them on fire? Did they not think they were gonna bust out of the ceiling?
Like what, bruh?
It's just.
I'm sorry.
The villain guy, the guy that looks like Tim Cook, is just not a villain in any way of any shape of the imagination. He's not a villain. He's the Megamind.
He's an antagonist. He's not a
Megamind
villain.
had a better antagonist than this guy. Like,
Yes.
he's just so awkward and weird that like that can work, but it was just like not executed. And I was just like, if you want to watch a weird, and I say weird, I mean weird, a weird sci-fi movie, you need to watch The Island, directed by Michael Bay. It has Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. Okay, that's my movie recommendation for the week. Go watch The Island. This movie feels like The Island because The Island is when they realize these people are like living in a facility when they realize that they are clones of rich people. And like the rich people cloned themselves so that they can have like the spare kidneys and blood and whatnot if they like get sick or hurt. And like they realize that's their sole purpose. And it's like they like break out of this laboratory and it's like this whole like government shutdown. Like we're infiltrating, we're gonna shut down this corporation. That's what this feels like to me. It feels very like season 1 Stranger Things. We're gonna infiltrate the lab, but also there's this chase scene in Malta for some reason, but now we're in Italy, but now we're in Dubai, but now we're over here. They do not stay in a single location for like longer than 30 seconds. It's insanity.
Can I point out something about the
Please.
chase in Malta? There was a solid 3 or 4 minutes where there was no music.
That's true.
There was no backing music, and it really bothered me.
Why?
Because music in film is meant to be there to help portray the story. And when you do an absence of music, it is meant to portray a different part of the story. Having a chase scene on a motorcycle, it just felt like they like forgot to put music in that segment. Because that felt like something that needed a really epic backing track to it to really sell it. It just, and you know, maybe it didn't bother anyone else, but it bothered me.
It didn't bother me, and the people I saw
it
with
really
actually
frustrated
liked
me.
it.
Here's the thing. I didn't even notice that there was no music.
I didn't notice.
It was painfully aware to me that there was no music.
The people I saw it with really liked that there was no music. So.
It wasn't at first, but as soon as I noticed there was no music, I was like,
why isn't there music?
This sounds weird.
So here's what I think. I think Jurassic World Dominion is if No Way Home had a baby with a bad James Bond movie, and then
what if it had a baby with a bad Jurassic Park movie? There's 5 of them.
It's like if No Way Home had a baby with a bad Jurassic Park movie, and that bad Jurassic Park / No Way Home movie married a James Bond movie. And so it's just this melting pot of genres where it didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to be like a sci-fi cloning movie, or if it wanted to be an action dinosaur movie, or if it wanted to be an espionage spy thriller, or if it wanted to be the family kidnap movie like you talk about. It doesn't know what it is, and it seems to change based on the scene. And I just don't like that.
Yeah. And there were a lot more natural ways to bring in the original 3 characters. Because the thing is, like, they took a hard 30-45 minute break to establish these main 3 characters who we already know, but they needed a reason as to why everybody was on the Biosyn Island. But the problem was, assuming everything takes place simultaneously, it would mean that Claire and Owen went from Montana to the tech guy from Jurassic World 2 to Malta to Biosyn in the same amount of time it took Ellie Sattler to go from Utah to a different place in Utah to Biosyn,
Yeah.
which the timeline doesn't add up.
No.
Because it's not like they spent the night at Biosyn and then, Claire and Owen showed up the next day. Like, this is all taking place in one day. One day. And that's that. When you blur the lines of, like, time zones, obviously, it gets complicated.
Yeah.
Because Malta is obviously in a different time zone than continental U.S. I don't even think it's in the U.S.
No, it's not.
It's somewhere in Europe, right?
Mhm.
So, but that begs the question: where is Biosyn? Because where are they flying in a plane that Biosyn is within fuel's reach of a not passenger plane?
It's a disaster.
It doesn't.
It makes
doesn't
no
add up.
sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't add up. And can we? There even like that chase scene in Malta was really rad, and they like touched on this like underground dinosaur market that we are in for 15 seconds. That's what I wanted out of this
That's
movie.
really the only. That's really the only thread from the second movie that they continue.
I really
The black market.
I really needed this movie to be, how do we deal with dinosaurs in the everyday world?
And apparently the answer to that was shipping them off to another island. Because we can't coexist.
Which is literally the plot of all of the other Jurassic Park movies that everyone hates. Why
But
would
the
they
weird
do
thing is
that?
they didn't make a definitive decision between
No.
either of the options. Because it's like they stopped picking up dinosaurs in the US or like in the mainland once Biosyn got shut down.
Yeah.
And once they did that, they were like, okay, well, whatever dinosaurs are still here, we just have to coexist with those instead of shipping them off to the island with the rest of their freaking species.
Which is so
why are they still here?
so dumb, because I'm like, guys, the problem that was presented at the beginning of this movie was not resolved. We ended in the exact same place that we started by just saying, how do we live with these dinosaurs? But now we don't have these stupid freaking locusts that we randomly created for no reason. It's like,
They didn't, like, I will say, the hook is very interesting, where they, like,
such a good
bust an
concept.
illegal, like, breeding site,
Yeah.
and, like, there's so much good stuff in this movie that is not followed up on. Because they wanted to make 7 different movies, but they had to force them into one.
Yeah.
Because, and not to mention the fact that the tech guy from the second movie goes and works at the freaking CIA.
Yeah.
Which is never touched upon again.
You never see him again. You never see the girl again from the other movie.
Which by the way, I want to point out, they went to this tech guy. I don't even remember his name. And he says, hey, we're doing a bust in Malta tomorrow. So there is a day passage in this movie. But where does it take place? Because there is no apparent day skip at Biosyn. But they have to wait till the next day to get the bust in Malta. So unless everything would have to take place on that second day, but the movie doesn't portray it like that.
Do this.
It portrays it like everything takes place on the same day. It's really frustrating. But anyway,
I want to talk about some more general problems in this movie.
hold on. I gotta finish this CIA point.
Finish.
He tells them, we have this bust tomorrow in Malta. Do not go and interfere. What do? They go and interfere. And even I don't remember his name, but the black guy who was Owen's friend was like, hey, you can listen in, but don't do anything.
What do they
do? They just get involved. I literally put in my notes, movie number 3 of Claire Dearing not listening to simple instructions.
So, I want to talk about some more general problems with this movie, because I think all of the cards for this movie were in line to be amazing. You had
And they did 52
an
card
amazing cast. You had the original cast and the amazing new cast that like was already established, and you had good things going. You had a budget of $165 million. Where this money went, God only knows. Probably just 90%.
It clearly didn't go to the CGI.
It just
budget.
went to Sam Neill, probably.
It went to Jeff Goldblum. He cost $165 million.
It was such an amazing concept, and like everyone was on board. Why was the writing so bad? And I feel like the writing reflected on the actors, because like the actors, I feel like I was noticing the actors weren't doing great. Like
No.
I think these are all really good actors. Like, I will defend Bryce Dallas Howard as an actor. I think she's really cool. But
they're good actors with a really sucky script.
And so like even like I was like, Laura Dern, what are you doing? You're better than this. I was like, what? And since it's everyone, I feel like this cannot be an actor problem. This is a script problem. It's a
script and
bad.
I would assume direction.
It's just
like
bad.
just poor directing, which doesn't make sense. Because Colin Trevorrow is not a bad director.
No, he's not. No one in this movie is bad. So why is it bad? I'm so legitimately confused.
I have 3 things to say.
Okay.
And then I unless you bring something else up, I will be ready to give my conclusion on this movie.
Yeah.
Oh no! My battery's gonna die on my camera.
I see that low battery on the video too.
Oh no! Okay, speedrun. 1, Alan Grant and Laura Dern didn't need to be here. It's totally stupid. And definitely, like, well, no, not that they didn't need to be here. Their relationship, them getting back together, was really stupid, okay? That was dumb. The episode will continue on his video. You just see my Discord profile picture.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
2,
calm down.
The CGI budget, I don't know where it went, because what's really dumb is like the CGI budget just disappeared because the line between CGI dinosaurs and real life dinosaurs were really stupid. And 3rd, this movie suffers. I hate that the battery's dying because this is a long point.
Would you like to switch to your laptop camera for this last portion?
No, it's so bad.
Would you like to turn off of your video for this next portion?
Such a bad question. No, I will. This camera is gonna run till the battery dies.
Just leave it till it dies. You're fine.
So, Star Wars inadvertently affected the quality of this franchise, the Jurassic World franchise, because Colin Trevorrow was originally set to direct Episode 9, which, follow me timeline-wise, would have gone... I really hate that the battery light is flashing. It's stupid. I'm going to move over here. So, timeline-wise, Colin Trevorrow would have been working on pre-production for Episode 9 of Star Wars when Jurassic World 2 would have been filming. Because, like, he would have been doing pre-production for that late 2017, early 2018. Jurassic World would have already been in production. So he wasn't directing the second one, which is why it feels so different from the other 2. Right?
Yeah.
But by the time he stepped off of Star Wars, because he stepped off of Star Wars, he would have... Like, they would have already been elbows deep in Jurassic World 2. So they couldn't just bring him in and swap out directors. So he had to come in and essentially pull a J.J. Abrams and pick up the pieces of whatever was left from the second movie, and it didn't go very well. So this is another trilogy of movies from a popular franchise that had a different director somewhere in the middle, and it didn't end up working out. So maybe this is a sign to all of them that maybe we shouldn't be doing it.
Hey, maybe we should, when we decide to make 3, 5, 6 movies, we should plan them all out instead of going one at a time.
Yeah, this is another one where I didn't feel like... And, you know, part of that is the way studios greenlight movies. Like, they weren't going to greenlight a 3rd Jurassic World until the second one made a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? So they obviously didn't go into it having that plan. But I would say, as a writer, you should have all of those things planned out. So if they do greenlight your movie, you have a clear direction of where the 3rd one is going.
Yeah.
But if they don't, you've told a satisfying story in the 2. And it's kind of difficult. As a writer, I understand how difficult that can be. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah. So, we're gonna wrap
up.
We're
here,
gonna wrap
my
this up.
Dies.
we're wrapping this up, but I'm disappointed because I think if this was their last chance to pull it all together, and instead of doing really cool dinosaur scenes where everyone like is at risk, they decided to kidnap a comedically British child.
Yep.
And that is honestly very frustrating, and it's very upsetting, and it's just sad because this was such a good concept, and it had so much potential,
And then
it was just so. And I'm shocked. I legitimately am shocked that it was this bad, because the other ones are watchable. Like
I think it's the
Jurassic...
lowest rated of the 6.
It is.
Which is really saying something.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not like the other ones are terrible. I had a good time watching them. And I have a good time watching Dominion in the sense of it's laughably bad. It's the same way people watch, like, I don't even have an example. Movies that are so bad that they're good. And it's just painful. I haven't even touched on the point where they were like, oh, she's not actually a clone, but she is a clone. Her mom, like, cloned herself, but without this disease, and then bared herself, gave birth to herself? That's disgusting.
When Laura Dern was like, oh, she always wanted to have a child, so she just cloned with technology, I was like, dang, no guy wants you for real. That's the way I took that. If she just could not get a boyfriend in college because she was too obsessed with dinosaurs, right? And they were like, yeah, you're kind of crazy if you think we should bring back dinosaurs. I don't want to go out with you. So she was like, fine, I'll do it myself.
If I had a nickel for every time I saw a movie this year about a mom who does the most unethical thing to get her children, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot.
Which isn't
but
weird.
It's weird that it happened twice.
But it's weird that it happened twice.
I'm just saying.
What a meme.
I don't like this trend. I think I've seen this film before,
I do have one good thing to say about the movie. One good thing to say about the movie.
Sure, yeah.
Actually, one bad thing. One bad thing.
Oh,
when
never
Laura
mind, that's
Dern
bad.
said he slid into my DMs, I wanted to slide out of the theater. That was rough.
That was bad.
Whoever wrote that needs to be
rough.
fired. Whatever intern contributed that line to the script needs to be fired.
That was
age stupid.
So poorly.
That is gonna age. So it was already aged poorly when this movie came out. It's gonna age poorly in 10 years. But the one good thing I will say about this movie, and of course my camera will cut out halfway through the sentence because I have something good to say. When the T-Rex fought the Giganotosaurus at the end, that just fulfilled every part of my child brain of dinosaurs go fight. And that is what I literally wrote right here. Final dino fight is the big stuff I pay to see these movies for.
Facts.
I just want to see dinosaurs eat each other and fight and tear each other up. And that was my favorite part of the movie. And that's saying a lot because it was like 3 minutes long.
Let me tell you. This movie needed like 80 more scenes like that. There were no cool scenes in this movie. The only thing that came close was I really liked when Claire was in the water. When she went like under the water, and there's a really cool shot where you like see how close the dinosaur is to the water while she's like holding her breath. I think that was really tense. I liked that. And I
think that one would have been cool if it wasn't a trailer shot.
Yeah, it was straight up a trailer shot. But it was kind of cool. I'm like scraping for this movie. And I really like
there's like barely any redeeming qualities about it.
I liked when she was in the water. But I also like when Maisie's climbing the ladder and there's a cage and the dinosaur's mouth is like closing in. I think that's insanely claustrophobic intense. I really like that. But like 3 cool moments out of like a 2.5 hour movie
does not redeem this
good.
movie. That is not enough to
good.
redeem your movie.
Like
did you notice when the T-Rex came in and they had like the circle waterfall?
Yeah, that was
and he
crap.
Stuck his head.
That was crap.
What? No,
that was stupid.
No, it was
was
alluding
stupid.
to the logo.
That was
I thought
stupid.
that was cool.
No, that was stupid.
As soon as I saw him coming around, I was like, oh, they're going to do the logo
I
thing.
knew it was gonna
And then
do
he
that.
pops
It
his
was
head in for like 2
stupid.
seconds and then moves.
I thought it was stupid.
I'm getting a poster from one of my friends that is that scene with the
Oh,
head,
that's a good
and I'm going
idea.
to frame it.
That's a good idea.
Because I asked my friends, I was like, can I have a poster? And they're like, you hated the movie. And I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
Hating a movie, thinking a movie is bad, and having a dope poster are two totally different things.
Yeah, that's facts. I didn't
Just
hate
saying.
it. I'm kind of
It
indifferent.
just wasn't good.
I didn't hate it. It just wasn't. It was fine. I'm kind of indifferent. I just thought it was like, my initial reaction was that's
It was
kind
bad.
of dumb, but all right.
It was bad. I won't say it's the worst movie I've seen this year, but it is definitely one of the worst. I think out of like 21 movies I've seen this year, it's like 19 on my Letterboxd list. I will check and get a final number
So,
as we wrap up.
I'm looking
here.
at my Do you want to do the ranking, or have we gone long enough?
No, we don't have time. We don't have time. We will rank the Jurassic Park movies another day.
So
Um,
of the 11 movies I've seen this year that came out
this
that
has to
came out
change.
this year. Of the 11 movies that I've seen that come out, new 2022 movies, Jurassic Park hit number 8.
Actually, no, that's about right.
Number 8 out of 11.
So I lied. For me, it's 16 out of 21.
That's not bad. That's
I
still
have
pretty
seen
low.
5 movies worse. You want to know what my least favorite this year
Yeah.
is? Uncharted.
That's rough.
I did not care for Uncharted.
You know
I thought,
what my worst movie this year is? It is Hotel
Jurassic World?
Transylvania 4. A movie is
No.
hot garbage.
eh.
I just watched it because my family turned it on.
I
And-
hate that this battery light has been blinking and I have no way of turning it off. So if my
'Cause
camera makes
it
it to the end of
really-
the episode, it's
it
just
really
going to keep
didn't-
blinking.
It really doesn't need to be.
Oh my
there right
gosh,
now.
it's just like Jurassic World. It sets up an artificial stakes and then doesn't carry through.
Oh, what a good metaphor.
Camera dies right there.
Hey, let's wrap it up on that bombshell.
On that bombshell of a note, thank you for listening to the Jurassic Parktacular today. If you want to stay up to date with the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at the Nerdiest Podcast or on TikTok at the Nerdiest Podcast. If you have feedback or a question you want to submit, you can do so by clicking the link in the description that'll take you to the website and the contact us page. You can also check out the Spotify description. There should be a poll and or a question of the week there. Probably a poll on what you think the best Jurassic Park / World movie is. I also want to say, and I'm going to kind of cut into Jackson's thing here. But if you liked this episode, right, our ramblings about an entire franchise, and if you listened all the way through the episode, I salute you. This is our longest episode yet, and I cannot thank you enough if you listened to the entire episode, regardless of whether or not it was across multiple days, weeks, months, years. Thank you for listening to the entire episode,
Yeah,
because it was a
legit.
lot to ramble about 6 movies, and I promise that the next time we do a revisit episode to these
It won't be
franchises,
this
we will
long.
condense it and
It
make
won't
it
be
a
this
little
long.
quicker. But we had a lot to say about these movies
Dog.
individually.
It's
So I
the Jurassic
promise,
Parktacular.
I
It's the
promise
Jurassic Parktacular.
next time it
Come
will
on.
be at least an hour shorter than it was in this
Yeah.
episode.
I'm
So-
sorry.
If you enjoyed this episode, consider giving us a 5-star review. It would mean the world to us because it helps the episode get out there to more people who want to listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Legit, if you made it this far, I'm just gonna echo what he said. Thanks. Like, it's crazy to do something. Like, I had so much fun doing this today, and like, it's crazy that people care to listen all the way through. So thank you. Even if you just listen to Jurassic World or whatever, like, come on. Thank you so much. That's so dope. You can follow us on Instagram with a link in the description. Give us 5-star rating. Buy our stickers, $3 a piece. We have 3 designs. They're really dope. But really, word of mouth is the best way for us to grow. So if you want to send this to your friends or your family or your distant cousins or your uncle or your youth pastor that really likes Jurassic Park, and you just want to say, I'm sorry, the 3rd one is not good, and he says, no, that's really sad. So
That's fair.
Not pulling from personal experience or anything.
We're never speaking again.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Peace out.